What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Almost Awesome Show, episode 27. Yeah, that's right. And it is, nope, it's not Wednesday. It's Friday. Friday, our first Friday show instead of Saturday. I don't know about you guys, but I'm really hyped about that because I don't have to get up on Saturday and do this fucking show anymore. Not that I don't like doing the show, but just I don't like getting up and doing it on Saturday. So now I'm doing it on Friday. But I'm not alone in this pursuit. I am joined, as always, by our friend Nick. As always, how you doing, Nick?
I'm good. Like my time waiting for a certain movie last night, I am very, very tired right now, but I am ready to talk the nonsense we're going to be talking about today because that's what we do, because we're almost awesome, but barely awesome. So
yeah, well, we are going to be talking about some nonsense today. That's for damn sure. I do have a few stories to talk about, nothing huge, but we do have two big things to talk about. We're doing two reviews today. Oh my God. And excuse me, both of them will be spoiler-tastic. As we get to those, I'll let you guys know before we get into those spoilers. So if you don't want to hang out and hear those spoilers, you don't have to. But before we jump in, let's see up in the comments, we've got James Gibbs. Hey James, how you doing, my friend? Nobody else in the comments as of yet, but I'm sure you guys will start to pile in here soon. But I guess before we jump into things, Nick, what's going on over at your channel? You said you had some issues last night. I don't know if you can even talk about that yet or not.
Oh, no. The full review embargo is not lifted, but I did go see Black Adam last night. So my overall thoughts is it's a superhero movie. It's another one. I think my thoughts are very clear on just that statement alone, but I think it's going to be a crowd pleaser. It's going to make $400 million. It's, it's doing maybe what the MCU is not doing at this point, which is maybe having fun. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, that's a good question I should ask you before we start recording. I won't ask you now because we're live, but concerning that.
Oh, damn it. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, cool. I guess,
yeah.
When can people expect a review? Or can you say?
It's on the 18th. I will say just a word of warning for people who review out there. If there's a red carpet event in your area for a movie, like if you see a movie like a week or two early and there's a red carpet event, expect to be there for more than 8 hours of waiting for the movie to start, because it never starts on time, and you may just be waiting for one of the sub-tier supporting actors in the movie, to be fairly honest, to come in and show up. So yeah, it sucks. Just be prepared for those types of things. But otherwise, yeah, I saw Black Adam, and I'll have a review for it on the 28th. So overall, just honest opinion, it's okay. It's an okay movie. So that's where I'll leave it.
Oh, cool. Well, I'm seeing it Thursday, I think is where my tickets are. Thursday afternoon. So I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I'm not, based on the trailers, it looks kind of vanilla to me, but
yeah,
we'll see. I like The Rock. I like the DCU. We will see I'll see next week. I'm sure everybody else will have a review out by the time I even go see the movie, so there's that. I will say to everybody out there who is interested in watching this movie, and I've been able to dodge the spoilers for the most part. I think it's more or less been spoiled for me just based on some, deduction and not trying, but it just kind of happened. There are some spoilers. I know there are spoilers for the movie, big spoilers for the movie out there. Just be careful of that. There's some YouTubers that are spoiling things without letting people know, and these are some of the big spoilers for the movie that are spoiler worthy. So just be careful out there, everybody. It's a dangerous internet. But anywho, all right, let's jump into our first segment of the day, which as usual is News Bits, those little news stories that aren't quite big enough for their own story, but we still want to give them a little bit of a mention because we like talking about them. And the first one is actually tying into something we talked about on News Bits I think it was like a week ago. They announced that Spider-Man Miles Morales was coming to PC. And just like its forebear Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man. But we did not have a release date, and we do have a release date now, and that is November 18th. So just over a month from now, you'll be able to get your Spider-Man Miles Morales on PC and it apparently has very similar specs to the Marvel Spider-Man that came out a month or two ago. So if you could run that, you should be able to run this one. Have you played Miles Morales? I think you said you have, right?
Yeah. I had it when I had the brief time of having a PS5. I did play it. It's great. It's real great. It's a shorter version of the Spider-Man game, but I think it's actually more interesting and compelling having Miles Morales as the Spider-Man. And I saw the trailer for it for the PC port that's being put out, and man, those PC ports look nice. I'll say that much. So,
Well, I'll probably get it. I liked Marvel Spider-Man. I didn't play it
yeah.
on PlayStation. I played it on the PC. I liked it, but admittedly, I kind of fell off. It just kind of became a bit repetitious for me. I heard that it picks back up, and it was a good game. I'm not disparaging it. It was a
Yeah.
really good game, but I think the Miles. I just don't have a lot of time to devote to like a big, huge game anymore. But the Miles Morales one, seeing as how it is that, maybe a little bit better and shorter, that kind of speaks to me. So I'll probably be picking that up on November 18th and give it a shot on my Steam Deck. Because Marvel, I assume it'll work on Steam Deck. I didn't really see that in the article. The first one did, so I'm assuming this one will as well. Alrighty, so this next bit actually links somewhat in person to a review we're going to do in a little bit. David Gordon Green, we both know who that is, don't we, Nick? I think you're going to have some choice words for Mr. Green here in a little while when we talk about his latest endeavor. Well, after Halloween, he apparently is attached to an Exorcist remake. In fact, an Exorcist trilogy that they're working on. It's a remake, and I guess I don't know if they're remaking the first 3 films or they're just doing a remake and then having 3 films. Either way, it's a trilogy, and he has said that that's long known that was happening, but he has said that it is going to start filming right after Halloween, so right around the corner. So chances are we'll be getting that early next year, or not early next year, but in time for Halloween next year. Me, myself, when it comes to David Gordon Green, I think he's a competent director. He's made some really good stuff, and he's made some not so good stuff, and he's made something we're going to talk about in a few minutes. But when it comes to The Exorcist, I've never been a huge fan. Nothing against it. It's just not my cup of tea. It doesn't really scare me. I know people call it the scariest movie ever made. I don't really ever find it scary. But how about you, Nick? What do you think of The Exorcist and the fact that it's being remade by David Gordon Green?
You know, I'm very vocal about what I say about certain movies. This is very spicy, but I'm not a fan of The Shining, which I watched The Shining this morning because I was bored, and I only made it halfway through the movie because I'm not a fan of that movie. Same thing with this movie, The Exorcist. I get its appeal. I get, back in the 70s, this would have been scary, but there's only a couple moments in that movie, like the spider walk and maybe I don't know, the guy jumping out the window that was like, oh shit.
The spider walk actually wasn't in the original version either.
I know, that's what's crazy about it. Those are really cool scenes, but I don't know. Like, I'm more into like, Trick or Treat or Halloween or these other. I think I'm more into like the other side of horror more than like the Shining. More like I don't want to call them artsy horror, but they're more like highfalutin horror. I'm more into like let's see what Jason or Freddy or Michael Myers are going to do.
Slasher?
Than what, yeah, slasher. Like the Cabin in the Woods stuff more than Exorcist. It's really weird.
I think The Exorcist would probably be considered the highfalutin one.
Yeah. I mean, The Shining's like more like, hey, look, it's Stanley Kubrick. He made a horror film. Great, that type of thing. But I don't know. Exorcist never really did it for me. I've tried many times to watch that movie. Never got into it.
Me neither. I know people have like a hell of a love for like the third one, I think. I don't remember much about it. But there's like
with the nun that jumps out of nowhere,
I guess. But I've never really been a huge fan of that, so I don't really care about this news that much. But David Gordon Green being the guy used to be a comedy director. Now apparently he's a horror director. I mean, that's all he does now. Okay.
Yeah, he's one of those directors that's done like really odd stuff, like really off ball. I think he actually did. I want to say he did a movie called George Washington, that was like this really kind of dark indie film. I can't remember offhand, but he's a very weird director. What's that?
What was it about George Washington?
No, I think it was something. It was like about a young African American kid or something. I can't remember offhand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, those of you that are interested in The Exorcist, which neither of us really are. Probably
Yeah,
not.
we'll go back to yeah.
Those of us that are, or those of you that are interested in The Exorcist and David Gordon Green, hey, well, it's coming, and probably, if I had to guess, I'd say by Halloween next year. That's what it sounds like. If they start filming this year, right after Halloween, it should be ready by then. And you're getting 3 of them.
Yeah.
So, a movie that I am interested in, very interested in, that got some good news this week, not huge news, but good news, is Dune Part 2. And how its release date has moved up 2 weeks. And by up, I mean it's coming out earlier. We're getting it earlier than we initially thought. That's the reverse of what's been happening in the past few years. So we are getting Dune a few weeks early. I believe this has to do with the whole Marvel shakeup, primarily Blade, because it more or less moved into Blade's release spot that it just freed up recently. I guess they said, well,
Yeah.
I guess they plan on being done by then, and they said, well, Blade's not going to be there, so let's just slot right in there, which makes sense. I mean, you don't want to go up against a Marvel movie if you don't have to. Regardless of what I think of the MCU, it's still a juggernaut, so I get why they don't want to go up against a Marvel movie directly. So, yeah, Dune Part 2 is coming. What, Nick, I would think that you'd be excited about this. What do you think?
Oh yeah, man. Sooner the better. Bring this shit on. I'm ready. I'm ready to see what Paul Atreides is going to do next. Hopefully Denis Villeneuve knows what to do with Paul Atreides next and doesn't focus on, as we've talked about many times in the past,
some of those things we've been hearing.
Yeah.
Hopefully that doesn't happen. I just want to see some people riding some big fucking worms out in the desert. People, come on. Now we get to see it 2 weeks early. But hey, it's so I think that's November. I don't have the date in front of me. I believe it's November, the beginning of November next year. So just right over a year away from now, we should be getting them. Was it November or October? October or November, somewhere in there. Fall of 2023 is when we'll be getting the movie now. Just 2 weeks early, but hey, maybe something else will get canceled and it'll just slowly move closer and closer to us. I doubt that, but
Right.
Dune 2, or Dune Part 2 as it's called, will be coming 2 weeks early next year. John Carpenter, he's a director. I like him. You like him, Nick?
He is. He's
Yeah,
getting a lot of blame for Halloween Ends. Yes, I know who he is.
Well, we're not going to talk about that so much, but he did direct and write and score and just all kinds of stuff. I know a favorite of yours, the original Halloween. He's done many movies that are favorites of mine, such as The Thing and Big Trouble in Little China and Escape from New York, and et cetera, et cetera. He's also had some duds, Ghost of Mars, things like that. But all of his movies, no matter how good or bad they are, I enjoy them all to some degree.
Yeah.
Well, he is set because he hasn't really. What's the last movie he made? Was it that vampires movie?
Well, no, the last movie he made was the one with Amber Heard, I think. Was it Amber Heard? The one where the war.
The werewolf
That was
one.
what. No, yeah, was that a werewolf movie? I never saw
I
it,
don't
but
remember. What was it called?
yeah, it was the war. It's called The Ward.
The War. Oh no. I don't know. I didn't see that one. Well, okay. It's been a while.
Yeah.
He hadn't made
Amber
one
Heard was in
for
it, yeah.
quite a while. He's just been hanging out, smoking weed, and playing video games. Well, while he was
Exactly.
smoking that weed and playing them video games, one of the games he played was Dead Space, which is a series that had 3 games come out in the late 2000s, early noughts. Dead Space 1, 2, and 3. It was a very popular series, and it just like unceremoniously died. And like it just went away. Like the third one was kind of divisive, I know, but well, he said he wants to direct a Dead Space movie. Now, nothing is for sure, but he has been talking about this a lot apparently recently. He's been saying that he thinks it would make a really cool movie, and he wants to do one. There is a Dead Space remake coming out here real soon that's been catching some press. So, I mean, Dead Space is back in the limelight for a bit, at least for a bit. So, maybe John Carpenter, Dead Space, I could see it because Dead Space does have some body horror thing inspiration going on there with its creatures. Necro, I can't remember what they call them. Necros, I think, or something like that.
Necromorphs.
Yeah, okay.
Necromorphs.
There's a lot of John Carpenter inspiration there, so I could see him doing it. Would I want him to? I don't know. He has a very distinctive style. I don't know if Dead Space. I've only played the first one, and I didn't even play very much of it, honestly. But it didn't strike me as John Carpenter's style. I don't know.
No, yeah.
Especially his later films like Ghost of Mars and Escape from L.A. and stuff like that. I love John Carpenter, but I don't know if this is a fit for him. It could be. Maybe it'd be awesome. But what you're saying no?
No, I love John Carpenter a lot. You know, his movies are hit and miss, but I love his style. But you know, his like biggest action movie maybe was Escape from New York, maybe Vampires, and I as much as I would like him to do that, you're talking about a movie that's going to have a huge budget. You're talking about a director that hasn't directed anything since 2010. You're talking about a director who it's hard with Carpenter because he's so flaky in what he wants to do anymore. The half time he just, like I said, wants to smoke weed and play AAA video games. And you know, actually, apparently, he has an appreciation for Sonic the Hedgehog, which is kind of funny. But
yeah, that's a long known. Like when it came out long ago, I remember him saying something about that in the '90s. He was all about some Sonic.
But no, like Dead Space seems like a film like Guillermo del Toro would direct or something like that, or you know, somebody who has an experience with like true action horror, suspense. Because though John Carpenter could do like a Geiger HR Geiger or whatever style, like you know, putting characters and designing them, I don't think he'd be right for a directorial part.
Well,
That's
it's his style, his like the performances. It's campy, and I love it. But I don't. Dead Space isn't that. Dead Space is a much more serious, kind of darker horror, and his style just doesn't lend to that, in my opinion. I mean, who knows? Maybe make it to be awesome.
Well, no, this dark. Dead Space would be more like James Wan, to be fairly honest. I can see James Wan doing a Dead Space.
Kind of like Event Horizon. That's like very that tone, which is a little bit of camp, but I mean that tone I could see for Dead Space, but. That's not John Carpenter. He's much more a little more kooky, kind of goofy. So I don't know, but hey, I mean, if he does end up making it, I'll go see it. I'll be interested in it. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
So, but hey,
don't count the discount him. I would I'd eat that shit up. But it's just like maybe not. He's like 74 years old, so maybe not. I don't know. George Miller's doing shit, so who knows?
Yeah. Hey, Argento's still making movies. He's 82, so who knows? But John Carpenter, Dead Space, it could happen. We'll see here in the future at some point. All right, something else that's kind of out of nowhere. Actually, no, I skipped one. One more, another bit of gaming news, real quick. Xbox, or not just Xbox, we could keep calling it Xbox Game Pass. Game Pass, because it's much beyond the Xbox now, is apparently coming to the Meta Quest. I hate that name. I'll say it every time. But it's coming to the Quest.
Wait. No shit. I did not know that. I actually didn't know that. That's badass. Like, I hate the name of the Quest too, but tell me more. Tell me more, Captain.
Well, apparently it is coming. They don't have an exact date yet, but they did show some footage of it. It is coming to the Quest. It'll be in VR, but not. What it's going to be is it's going to be like you're in you have like this giant screen. It's going to have like a little setting where you're like in a theater, but you can play their games through the cloud, their cloud version of their games, cloud streaming or whatever, which is a lot, if not all, but it's most of the Xbox Game Pass games. They are through cloud streaming. So you will be able to go in there and play them in VR, but like on a giant screen, like in a theater or something. Now, I will say it's going to be an official thing where, like just like all the other Quest things, it'll be a tile you click on and go into an app and do that, which is cool. Yeah. I mean, you get to play a game on just like a theater screen, if you will. I will say this is actually already possible. You can do this.
Oh,
now.
I'm sure it is.
It's not like this is going to be an official app where you go in there and it'll probably work really good. But I've done this, not with the streaming part of it, but I've done it with a game. You can actually go into, I don't know, I'm sure Quest has a similar thing. I'm not as versed on the Quest and some of its like actual specific apps as much. But I know that with VR, with like the Vive and the index and stuff like that. You can go into Steam and you can do big picture mode, and you can go into environments where you're like in a theater or a house with a giant screen and play whatever's on your computer. They also have the app called Big Picture. Is it called Big Picture or Big Screen? I think it's called Big Screen.
Yeah, Big Screen. Yeah.
Which I've used that a lot of times to watch my own content, and you can watch whatever's on your screen there, including a game, and the lag on it is, I mean, next to nothing. Well, when I played it, at least, it was next to nothing. Now, when I did it, it was local, and I actually I've watched some movies on my Quest. You're not going to notice lag as much in a movie as you will like a video game. But when I play games, now I was playing it local on my computer, which my PC, my headset was running off of. The lag was very playable. It was non-existent. So you can do this now. You just have to do like you go into Steam and you go into like big picture or big screen mode, and you play PC Game Pass and just project that in there. But I imagine that this is going to be a better option, a more convenient option.
Yeah.
What they showed was cool. You like go in there and it just had it all on this big screen, and you picked what you wanted and you just played it. So that's pretty cool. But hey,
I know Quest. No, I was gonna say I know Quest has virtual desktop, which is kind of like what you're talking about.
That's the same thing as the Valve. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know that this is just another step in Microsoft putting Game Pass on everything. Like literally, they want Game Pass everywhere, and it's happening. They're getting it there, and we're going to actually talk about that a little bit more in a little bit. But hey, if you're a MetaQuest or Quest user or whatever, then you'll have the opportunity to have Game Pass here soon. And actually, the cool thing about Game Pass, I will say, is if you have Game Pass, you don't have to pay for it separately on each of these devices. You have Game Pass, it just works there. If it's on your TV, it works there. If it's on Xbox, if it's on PC, if it's on... I think it does. There's a difference in PC and Xbox, but it just works everywhere. So I think that's pretty cool. All right, so our last story, our last little news bit of the day, Andy Serkis, the man, the myth, the legend, known for all of his mocap stuff and all that. He is apparently in the process of working or making a Wicker Man series. How that works, I don't know. But it didn't give a lot of information on it, but he is developing a Wicker Man series. Now, I will say, myself, I've never been the biggest fan of the Wicker Man, the one from 74, I believe it is, or the 2000 whatever, the Nicolas Cage one. There are clips from the Nicolas Cage one that I love, like the whole bear running around and punching the woman and the my eyes and the bees and all that stuff. Yeah. We all love that, but just watching the actual movie itself, I'm like, what in the actual fuck am I watching? I don't have it in me. So I'm not a huge fan of the Wicker Man, either one as a whole. How about you, Nick? You hear this? You hear because Andy Serkis, he's made some competent shit, man. I mean, do you think Andy Serkis is barking up the wrong tree, or do you think he is finally going to do the Wicker Man justice with an extended series?
Well, I mean, his directorial efforts have not been great. I don't know how you feel about that Jungle Book movie, but he's not really that great of a director. Yeah.
You not so much.
He directed no. He directed something else which I wasn't a big fan of, but so what is this going to be like every week? There's going to be like somebody who's going to be sacrificed to the gods in the Wicker
I don't know. Like they just said it's a modern retelling, and it has been updated to modern day. So I really don't know. They didn't give any other information. It's just a series. I don't know if it's a limited series or like a long form series, but it says Andy Serkis making a Wicker Man series.
As long as it's not Neil LaBute directing it, sure. Have at it there, Andy Serkis. I don't care about the Wicker Man series. This is once again going into like maybe I'm just not hip with the higher falutin horror films, but you gotta admit the Nicolas Cage one was pretty darn funny for when he punches people, like especially women, and has bees in his eyes and all whatever nonsense happens in that movie. So
there's some great meme worthy shit in that for sure.
Yeah, but it's not good.
No. It's not a good movie at all.
Yeah.
But, hey, I know it has a lot of fans, both Wicker Men. So if you're a Wicker Man fan, hey, they got a series coming to you. And I will say it's from Andy Serkis, and he's done a lot of good stuff, even if you didn't care for some of his directorial stuff. I don't know if he's directing this or not. He's just developing it. So he's a big name, and he's working on Wicker Man. You're getting it either way, whether you like it or not. So here it comes. If you're a fan of the Wicker Man, you're getting more Wicker Man action. And that's all we got on the news bits this week, ladies and gents. Let us know in the comments below what you think of David Gordon Green starting filming on The Exorcist. Spider-Man Miles Morales coming to PC on the 18th. Doom Part 2 coming at us 2 weeks early. John Carpenter wants to make Dead Space a reality. Game Pass on the MetaQuest. And, of course, Andy Serkis making that Wicker Man series. Let us know in the comments below. All right. So let's move on to our first story of the day and get through these. And then we're going to talk about She-Hulk. Yeah, I'll leave it at that, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But before we get there, let's talk about Netflix. Everybody's got Netflix. Everybody knows Netflix. It's the biggest. They are the biggest streaming conglomerate on planet Earth. Everybody has. Pretty much everybody has the damn thing. It is number one. Disney tried to come in and say that they had, close to, or they have more or something like that. It wasn't true. They were changing their numbers around, making them kind of weird. They were like combining numbers for other things. Yeah, Disney Plus, you're not quite there yet. But recently, leading up to this story, last quarter, I believe it was, Netflix had a massive drop-off in subscribers. And people were talking about how, this is the end. This is the end. Netflix is going down. They're losing money. They're not releasing a lot of content and all this and that. You remember that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you remember them talking about that, right? And they were talking about, Disney Plus is going to swoop in and take it all from them. Or HBO Max or something like that. They were too busy inflating their numbers. Well, I guess Netflix heard that. I'm assuming they were preparing for it. But, yeah, they were well aware that they lost. I do remember when all that was going on, Netflix pretty much came out and said, we're not worried. We expected this. It's okay. They did seem pretty chill about the whole thing. I will give them that. They're like, it's all good, guys. Hang on a minute. Well, this quarter, Netflix came up and said, hey, hold my beer. Netflix broke its own record for number of original episodes released in a single quarter with 1,026 in the third quarter of 2022. That's more than 5 times any other streaming rival. Amazon Prime Video and Hulu released 223 and 194 episodes respectively. Disney Plus debuted with 140 original episodes per the report, and HBO Max released 144 episodes in the third quarter. Netflix premiered 159 original and exclusive shows in quarter 3, topping its previous high water mark of 143 in quarter 4 2021. So pretty much what they're saying, they released more shows than a lot of their competition did episodes of their shows. And not only that, I don't have the stats right here, but many of their shows, such as Stranger Things, Dahmer, there was another one. I can't remember the name of the other one, but have been like number 1 in streaming for quarter. They're doing very well. They came back with a fucking vengeance this quarter and said, don't forget who the fuck you're dealing with, bitches. We're fucking Netflix. So, yeah, anybody who was thinking that Netflix was going away and that they're not doing so hot and all this and that, they apparently did have, in reading the thing, they knew that they had a dip. And not just quality, but also release and all that. Because of COVID shutdowns and stuff like that, they're just now seeing that whole dip from where they, lost. They had some holes, if you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, they're back. They're back in black, baby. Because they have. That's all I've been hearing about is Netflix, and all these shows they're putting out. I mean, even the bad people, the detractors to say something like Dahmer, I mean, that show's getting very positive remarks. And, I mean, you can't deny Stranger Things and Sandman. That was another one. It's doing very well. It's not getting a second series, I don't believe, but it still did really well. Nick, what do you think? Do you think this is a fluke? Do you think Netflix is back? Do you think Netflix just had to come out and kind of flex a little bit and say, back the fuck up, bitch? What do you think's going on here?
I think it's good. I mean, it's good when Netflix is doing well because I would like to spend my hard-earned money for their product and get some product, and when they're releasing many products, it's always a good sign that it's healthy. It doesn't mean Netflix is going to be where they were at one point when they were spending $600 billion on the Gray Man, but at least I think what we're starting to see now is, hopefully, at least I hope, is that they're trying to equalize their product, and the idea of like putting out stuff that's more interesting. Like, I don't want to watch like 16 movies a year from Netflix and they're all fucking terrible. That's just not what I want. And hopefully this means that they're going to be doing something. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm happy for them. I'm glad.
Yeah.
They're much wealthier than I am, but for the most part, I'm happy
They're
that
doing all right. Yeah, they're doing all right.
Yeah, they're doing just a little bit all right.
Yes, they're doing all right. I'm with you. I think that this bodes well. It also goes. I think it bodes well also with their more recent. It's been a couple months now. They said that they're not spending was getting out of control, and they said, okay, we're not spending that kind of money anymore. They're still spending money, but I think they are just trying to reel it in a bit and kind of have better output. And I think we're starting to just now see a little bit of that, better, more quality. I mean, you release 1,026 episodes overall in a single quarter. There's going to be some duds in there, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
But it seems like they've had some good hits in there as well. And it sounds like they've got some hits coming up as well. So I am happy. I've always been a Netflix supporter. I like Netflix. They were the first. I've been with them since literally the beginning. So I like seeing Netflix do well. And I love when, because they are number one, there's lots of detractors out there that like to talk shit about them. But it's cool to see them come up. And I really respect the fact that we did a story on, it's been a month or so ago now, where everybody else is doing the weekly content. And they were saying they were putting pressure on Netflix to do weekly content, and the investors were too. And they were thinking about it, but apparently they came out and said, fuck you, no. We built this motherfucking city, and we're not changing it. So they will still be doing the binge content. I appreciate that. But anyway, and I kind of like when I see somebody just stand their ground and be like, nope, I'm doing it, bitch. On The Gray Man, you mentioned The Gray Man a moment ago, and we had talked about that a month or so ago as well. And neither of us have seen it, right? You still haven't seen it?
Which one, The Gray Man?
Yeah.
No, I refuse to watch that movie. So no, I have not seen it.
I had not seen it either. I watched the first. I sat down one night and said, "Okay, I'm going to watch this movie because I don't have anything else to watch." I watched maybe like 20 minutes of it, something like that. Not a lot, just the first little bit. What I saw, it's like a 2.5 hour long movie, so this is a very small snippet. What I saw of it wasn't bad. It was fine. It's just 20 minutes of it. I'll finish it in the next 3 years. But it wasn't terrible for what I saw. It was fine. But just throwing that out there. Anyway, Netflix, they're doing well, everybody. If you thought that they were going down the tubes, or worst case, if you were hoping they were, well, haha, they're not. They just needed a quarter to breathe and came up and said, "Hold my jury. I'm gonna fuck this bitch up." So Netflix still doing its thing. All right, let's move on to our next story. I just hit the wrong button. The Doom Generation. I pulled that up quicker than I expected. Are you familiar with the Doom Generation, Nick?
Yes and no. I know the name, but I don't know.
Oh,
enlighten me. Yeah, I guess I don't. Maybe I know of the name, the Doom Generation, but I don't know.
Well, I will let me inform you of what you're missing, my friend. The Doom Generation and I, we go way back. I remember when this movie first came out. I loved it. Me and my friends watched this nonstop. This is an awesome movie. I remember it being awesome. I might watch it now and be like, that was dog shit. But this is a really cool fucking movie. It was very underground when it came out. I didn't realize that it reached cult status, but apparently it has become like a cult classic status, or it's reached cult classic status. I don't really hear anybody else ever talk about it, but I am constantly thinking about it. It is a movie that will stick with you in your head. Whether it's good or not, I leave that to the individual to decide, but it is a movie that definitely will leave an impression on you and stick with you. If nothing else, the final shot of the movie, you want a Dorito? I think of that all the time for some reason. But there's a lot of weird shit in this movie. Well, it came out in 1995, by the way. Director Greg Araki's 1995 comedy thriller, The Doom Generation, first debuted at that year's Sundance Film Festival, setting in motion the film's successful trajectory toward the distinction of being a cult classic. Once again, I wasn't aware that it was a cult classic because I never hear anybody talk about it, but hey, I'll take their word for it. Almost 3 decades later, the film, now remastered in 4K and presented as an uncensored director's cut, will be enjoyed by audiences again at the 2023 iteration of the Utah-based festival. After the film's initial release in 1995, Sundance Film Festival, subsequent audiences were shown a re-edited version of the film. Araki wrote, "There are 3 versions of the Doom Generation. One is the edited version, which was released in theaters and on video. The second, which is, I assume that's the one I saw because I watched it on VHS. The second is a ridiculous R-rated version made without my approval from Blockbuster Video, which has over 20 minutes chopped out and makes no sense, and I hope that one disappears forever after this re-release. The third is the version shown at the film's world premiere at Sundance in 1995, which was subsequently censored per the distributor's request. This year's festival goers will be the first audiences to see the film as Araki originally intended since 1995. I can tell you, I am super excited to see an unedited, uncensored version of this movie because it was already pretty fucking out there. Like,
is it going to like kids territory where it's like real fucked up, or is it?
It's a very different.
I've never seen it.
It's a very different movie than Kids, but it is real fucked up.
I know.
It's real fucked up on violence, sexuality, just all of it. It's very surreal. It's a surreal fucking movie. That's like it's got shades of Natural Born Killers. There's shades of that in there. With some of the surreal moments, not as like because it's a very low budget, or not low budget. It's very independent, so not as not as high dollar as that one. But it's a crazy movie. Just about these 3 characters we see here, how they meet up and just kind of go on an adventure. We'll say that an adventure. But yeah, it's a really fucking cool movie that's hard to describe and hard to put into words to make someone say, oh yeah, I want to see that. I can just say it is definitely an experience that is worth seeing. I want to watch it again, but I really want to see this uncensored version. Unfortunately, and I'm really happy to see that it is getting some love and that it's been restored to 4K and an uncensored director's cut. What I want to know is when the fuck is everybody who's not going to be at Sundance have an opportunity to see this? Because I really want to see this. Because Sundance is in the summer, right?
No, it's in the winter. It's January. No,
I
have a thing. I have a thing that I don't know if this is true or not. The Sundance has pretty much shifted to Sundance has shifted to pretty much a virtual in audience kind of system. So Doom Generation Uncut might be like VOD in January. Ooh. Keep an eye out for it. I'm not saying it won't. I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying if they're doing like they've been doing the last couple of years, most of their shit comes out on VOD to like stream in the Sundance, so you can probably buy it and watch it. But I don't know. Like I said, you'll have to wait and see when they announce it. But
I want this film. I really want to just go watch it now because it's been so long since I've seen it. I have such fond memories of it. And there's so many quotable things that I quote that nobody else gets. Like I'll say shit and people just, they don't pick up on it because I got like a select group of friends from way back that do. But like, yeah, this movie's awesome. I'm saying all this and then like, it's been so long since I've seen it. Maybe my tastes have changed and you'll watch it and you'll be like, what in the fuck is this that I'm watching? But you'll probably definitely say that because it's out there. But I remember really, really liking this movie. I mean, it's a cult classic now, so there's something to it. So, but, you know, hopefully, I'm going to keep an eye on that. Because surely, and don't call me Shirley, they will release this on physical or VOD or something at some point. I mean, if they've remastered it and they have this uncut version and they're showing it at Sundance, I'm for sure I wonder who owns it. Or maybe that's the problem, because I know a lot of people buy things at Sundance. Maybe somebody's going to buy the restaurant. I don't fucking know.
It
I
says
just need this to
Trimark,
come out.
so I don't know if that's still that group's still around.
Do what?
It was like Trimark. I'm trying
Trimark?
to see who. Yeah, I think it's
Maybe. Or like Anchor Bay or something like that. I don't
yeah,
care.
Anchor Bear.
I don't care
Yeah.
who
You
releases
just
it.
want the damn thing.
I just want the damn thing. So, I know this doesn't mean a lot to you because you're like I don't know anything about this movie, but it's got I think is that Rose McGowan? I think it's Rose McGowan.
Yeah, James Duvall, Rose McGowan.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Rose
I was
McGowan
looking it up. Yeah.
and these two people. I don't know who they are, but yeah, awesome movie. I know that when I was a kid, or not a kid, I was a young adult at the time. There's a gas station attendant in it. I don't know how true this is because it's been a long time. People used to say that was Rob Zombie. I don't know. It would have been 96. This kind of grungy movie. It would have made sense. There's a thing that happens to this character. He kind of, I guess, resembles him. I don't know. That's one of those things I need to... It could have just been one of those... People said shit about movies back then. There was no internet to fact check them, so you just kind of rolled with it. But...
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, Doom Generation. If you are a fan, if you have any idea of what it is I'm talking about, I assume it is coming to Sundance, but I assume we're going to get an uncut version of it soon. What all is in that uncut, how much has been cut, I don't know. But if you've seen that movie, you know that it's already fucking wild as hell. So I'm really excited to see whatever that version is. And I'm going to say that maybe next year, 2023, at some point, we'll get a copy of that. Hopefully, man, please, Jesus Christ, give us this movie. But if you're a fan, let us know in the comments below if you even know what the Doom Generation is. I mean, if that's something you'd be interested in, please. I'm really interested to know if anybody else out there knows. They call it a cult classic, but like I said, I don't hear anybody talk about it. But let us know in the comments below. Alrighty. It's a slow day. Maybe Friday was the wrong day to pick to do this. Not a lot of people in the chat today.
Oh, Antonio just showed up. Hey, Antonio, we want you. Stay, Antonio. Don't leave us.
What's up, Antonio? As soon as I say that, somebody else shows up. Yeah, slow day, man. Hey, call your friends. Tell them to come on in, my man. I don't know. Maybe Friday. Everybody's worried about.
Hide your wife.
Everybody's worried about getting off of work today instead of coming to see the show. Anyway, still better than Saturday. I don't have to get up in the middle of the day and do it. All right, so this is the part of the show where we're going to talk about... What time is it? Oh, we're still doing good on time. We're going to talk about a thing. We're going to do a review. She-Hulk. Yeah, get ready. Get ready. So She-Hulk. That's a show, a Disney Plus show. Recently came out. Just recently aired their final episode, I believe, just the other day.
Yeah.
9 episodes in total. It's gone for 9 weeks. I watched the first episode when it first came out. I think I may have talked about it on here. I don't recall. I talked about it somewhere. Maybe I did a review. I can't remember. Talked about it. And I didn't watch any more. Well, yesterday I watched the remaining 8 episodes back to back to back. I wouldn't recommend that, by the way. I binged it because I wanted to talk about it today. I'd heard about the final. That's why. Because I heard about the final of this thing, and I was like, yeah, I got to see that. So I did, and I've seen it. I know, Nick, you were watching it week to week, correct?
Yeah, I sure was, Jacob. I sure was.
You sure were.
I sure was watching it week to week.
Well, everybody, before we jump headlong into this thing, and I don't plan on taking up too much time, because I think a lot of our discussion is going to be based around the final itself. But we'll definitely give our thoughts on the show as a whole, and some of the little points here or there. Nick and I have not talked about what we thought about this show at all. So there's going to be kind of we're going to see how this works out. But we will be talking spoilers. So if you don't want She-Hulk spoiled for you, you probably need to go and come back later. But if you don't care if it's spoiled for you, or if you have already seen it, then hang around, and we're going to have a good time. But we're not going to take too much of your time up with this thing. But you've been warned. Spoilers ahoy. Now, before I jump into what I thought of this show, just as a whole, Nick, let's I'm not saying you can't have spoilers, but let's stay away from the final for a moment, because that's kind of its own beast. What are your quick comments on how you felt about She-Hulk as a whole?
Jacob. I'm reminded of the time in 2008 when a little known film, unknown character came out called Iron Man, and came out and took the world by storm. I remember those days because inflation hadn't happened, the pandemic hadn't happened, the world hasn't been in chaos. There was no Thanos at the moment. It was a good time. It was a peaceful time. Then Phase Four
Yep.
happened, and though I like Shang-Chi and I like a couple things, She-Hulk decided to come out, and I watched the first episode of She-Hulk, and I'm like, this is okay, this is good, this is fine. Bruce Banner's in this nonsense, and then I got to the end of episode 8, and I have this now. And to show you how I feel about the show, this is it coming up on my thing. Yeah, you see how it's bent? I did this
Yeah.
while watching the episode of She-Hulk yesterday, and this is my thoughts of She-Hulk. This shit sucks.
You
Fuck
bent a
this
nail.
show.
You hulked out while you
No,
watched
actually,
it.
not really. Yeah, I was like, "Urgh." Oh shit, I actually bent it. No, okay. All that pageantry aside, no, this show's pretty bad. It really is. It went from being an interesting show about a lawyer and that idea of like the MCU as a whole and the conflicts and consequences to being something straight just fucking retarded. That's just a way to put it around it. This show sucks, man.
Tell us how you really feel.
I was so no joke. I was so angry. I've given up on doing reviews for the Marvel properties. I'll do like a review for the movie, but the TV shows I don't do because they don't do any views. I'm like, I need to talk about this, even if I only get 18 views or some nonsense. I got to talk about this because I am so baffled by what happened. I'm more baffled by what happened here than I was ever in Boba Fett. Boba Fett at least had the decency to pull my pants down and add some KY jelly. This didn't do this. Just fucking roughed it hard. And
Raw dog.
I am not having this nonsense. I told you, I'm getting tired of the MCU and this fucking nonsense where they can't deliver on anything. Like, we've had 18 fucking TV shows now, and none of them outside.
they delivered something.
You enjoy. Well, yeah, they delivered the big fucking fu. No, but outside of like Loki and for you and like WandaVision for me, and maybe Miss Marvel, what the fuck is going on? Like, I don't get it anymore. Like, I'm so. We're talking about spoilers. I am so fucking baffled by yesterday's. It premiered yesterday. Yesterday's episode, that what happened during Black Adam seems trivial at this point because it was so bad. I this whole series sucks. I'm about ready to give up on the MCU, and the only reason I'm going to say that now is because I don't feel like it's going to get any better. I really don't. I think we've seen it with the shifting of properties again. We've seen it with the shifting of everything. Like, I mean, Jacob, I mean, you can. I'll stop talking here in a second, but like, don't you agree? Like, after watching this, you actually binge this shit to talk about this on your show. What the
Yeah.
fuck is going on? What the hell is happening?
Well-
at least DC has the competency to do something entertaining every once in a while. This is entertaining. This is schlocky bullshit.
Well,
Oh god.
I will before I jump into the spoilers, especially the end. I will say that I think the end of this show, there was actually something rather poignant about it, and could be part of the problem. I think that something in the end of this show may actually be more true than people think, but we'll get there. Overall, my thoughts on She-Hulk, the Hulk that is she. After watching the first episode, I thought, it was fine. There were some heavy-handed moments in it. And we've seen them all, where she's like, I'm infinitely better at this than you because construction workers are catcalling me and they could kill me, or, it was a bit much. But, I'm able to look past that. Whatever. It's the world we live in. I can get past that. I thought the show was okay. It really didn't seem like it was for me, but I told myself after I watched that first episode, well, I don't need to watch this each week. I'll wait until either it's all out and I'll watch it at some point. I've done that with some of the Marvel shows, and if nothing else, I've enjoyed getting them out of the way quicker that way. So yesterday I sat down, and the latest episode came out, and I'd heard about some of the choices they made in the final, and I said, okay, I got to watch this. So I sat down and I watched the final 8 episodes. Yeah, the show, it didn't get a whole lot better. In fact, it got worse.
No, it actually went from being decent to like, what the fuck just happened? Did I just get fucking blow screwed and tattooed? What the hell just happened in this fucking movie?
Yeah. Now, I fully acknowledge, before anybody says it, this is 2 men sitting here talking about She-Hulk, and I know that that's a big thing in this show. Talking about men, and
I know someone actually posted a comment about that. I'm like, go fuck yourself.
Men and how we're, whatever stance the show takes on that. It is very pro female. And that's fine. Whatever. I got 6 daughters, man. I don't. Or
I'm like the most
5 daughters.
guy you'll ever meet. Yeah.
I got a lot of girls in my house. I love women. I love females. I've made quite a few of them. I love them to be empowered, but there are parts of this show that are just so in your fucking face, like push it, like shoving it down your throat. It's kind of it's a turnoff, and I would think that I'd be turned off even if I was a female. In fact, I know 2 females, one young and one older, that have seen this show, and they felt the same way. So I know it's not just me, because I was thinking, I was like, is it because I'm a guy? And it's kind of like there are parts that are kind of like, fixating on males and toxicity and all that. No, I know some females that were like, this is too much. No, I don't really care for it. But all that aside, I don't really want to get into all that. That was a hit on the show. I mean, it does it doesn't ever quite shed that and just be its own thing, which is odd, because there is a thing that's said closer to the end of it is, why don't we just do our own thing? Well,
but why do you? We'll talk about it in spoilers, but why does the show need to tell me that? Like,
it doesn't.
That's like us going,
or it
you should watch. We should do a show called The Almost Awesome Show, and we're gonna do our own thing. We are doing our own fucking thing. Of course we are. We don't need to tell people that. We're not coming out here to go, hey, Antonio, we're gonna do our own thing. You should watch. I'm like, he's already watching. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I tried to, because I was watching it and I knew I had to watch it all. So I was like, let me give this show the benefit of the doubt. Maybe let's try and look for the good stuff. So as I was watching it, it wasn't like painful. There were parts of it that I was just like, I'm bored out of my fucking mind here. I was not. None of the episodes are like very long. I mean, there are episodes that I think are only around 20 minutes long, which was, that was kind of nice, actually. I was happy that they were only that short. But there's shit that happens in this show that there is no storyline, no arc until the end, and then there's not. There's no real arc. There's nothing going on. It's just things happening. And like, you have this Titania character who keeps showing up out of nowhere and just doing stuff. She just periodically shows up, and then she like steals She-Hulk's name at one point. Daredevil, he premiered in the show later on. I like Charlie Cox's Daredevil. He didn't strike me. He was different than he was in the Netflix show. He was a lighter version. I'm hoping that that's not the version we get in Daredevil, the Daredevil show that they're doing next year.
Oh, no, that's the version we're going to get, Jacob. You know it is.
I know it is. I figured it probably would be, but I was hoping it wouldn't be. But he's still cool, but he's kind of quippy, and he wasn't like that in the show. He was kind of darker, more brooding, and there were quips in the Netflix show, but this one was like all quips. And I was just hoping that maybe since this is more of a comedy-esque show, maybe that's why, and maybe he won't be so much in his, I don't know. It is the MCU, though, so that's just kind of what they do. I didn't hate his character. I didn't think he really served much of a purpose, either. He was there for straight-up just fan service. That's it. There's no reason for Daredevil to be there.
Yeah.
And there's just that was my biggest thing is there's nothing really of consequence going on, or even non. There's just nothing really going on in this show. It's just, I found it very boring and vapid. There were a few points here or there that I was like, okay, we're doing something. The Abomination. I can't remember his name. I know it's Tim Roth, but
Tim
I can't.
Roth. Yeah, it's
The character name I can't remember, but
yeah.
well,
Blonsky.
Yeah, Blonsky, Neil, is it Neil Blonsky, or maybe I'm thinking of Blomkamp? I don't know, but the Abomination character, Tim Roth's character, I liked some of the direct things they did with him, like when he came in and he explained himself.
Yeah.
I thought that was neat how he explained. I thought I was the good guy. I thought I was going to be the next Captain America. You know, I thought I was doing the good thing, and you know they pumped me full of all this shit that made me roid out, and it wasn't my fault. And I was like, oh, you know, that is neat. That's a neat view on it. Then they took it somewhere with him and his character, and I get the show is supposed to be a comedy, but it like took him. I'm not gonna lie and say none of it was entertaining. Where his character goes off to like this retreat, and he's like a guru now. And he like helps people like find their inner peace and all that, and he has like all these wives, and I didn't love that direction, but I hated that less than everything else. I found there was entertainment value in that, I'll say that much, but they didn't do anything with it. It was just kind of, they set this up that was kind of like, okay, that's different, that's quirky, but nothing really came of it. And then yeah, the show just didn't do it for me. It was just like, what are we doing here? What's going on? Megan Thee Stallion shows up, and yeah, there's the whole thing about her twerking, and everybody lost their ever-living mind about She-Hulk twerking, which I was like, I mean, I hate to give this show anything, but it was in a post-credit scene, so what? I mean, yeah, it was dumb, and why are we doing this? I really feel like we've gone down to this level now. But whatever, it didn't bother me as much as it did a lot of people. I thought it was stupid, but I wasn't like as fixated on it as a lot of people. Maybe it's because I knew it was coming. I don't know, but the show just didn't. There was no arc. It was just events happening, just random things kept happening, and that was it. There was nothing to follow, and I didn't really care for many of the characters. I thought that the woman, I can't remember her name, who played She-Hulk.
Tatiana Maslany.
Yeah, she was fine. She was good in some ways. Yeah. I liked her. Some of the acting in the show was bad. Her parents was bad.
Yeah, one of the guys is from Perfect Strangers too, which is funny.
Yeah, the dad, he was bad. Like every time he showed up on screen, I was like, wow, this is just like remarkably bad. I will say that much about the MCU. Typically, it's at least got like passable acting. I mean, it's rare that it's just like terrible acting. That was terrible. Some of the other there is no great or good acting in it. Hers is fine. It's all, everybody's playing a caricature. Everybody's like over the top, and it's like there's nothing grounded about the show. It's all very over the top, and that's fine if it was its own standalone thing. But it's part of this world that's not totally over the top. And yes, we're talking about a world with superheroes and stuff, but you know what I mean. That's not the vibe they've created for this world. So it just feels weird to have this section of the world where all these people are so over the fucking top about everything, and they're all caricatures. They don't really have any personality. They just have a thing that they are, and that's all their character is. Yeah. So I mean that bothered me. The effects, people were really riding on the She-Hulk effects and like giving it a hard time. And I tried to really be like, they're not that bad. But there are parts that it's like, they're just really putty. They don't look great. It's a TV show, so it's kind of like you want to give it some give it a little bit.
Honestly, Jacob, that's not an excuse anymore, because they're putting as much money into a TV series like Lord of the Rings and all these shows. Like Disney is pouring money into these shows. There's no excuse anymore. I know you probably have. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. But
no, you're
like
fine.
you watch Andor, the last episode of Andor. I don't know if you've watched Andor yet, but the last episode of Andor.
I haven't watched the most recent episode. No.
Oh, okay, but it had probably some of the most impressive visual effects for a show that I've seen in quite a while, and that's on top of like the Power of the Ring, which I think is one of the most impressive TV shows I've ever seen on a visual level. So this idea that She-Hulk, and I know doing characters and stuff like that is a little more difficult than doing landscapes, but we're at a point in technology where there is no excuse that She-Hulk should look like that at certain points. It should be like photorealistic, not photorealistic, but realistic enough that it feels like it
Or
could be in this
at least as
world.
good as Mark Ruffalo's Hulk that's in the same
Yeah.
show. And when they're standing next to
Yeah,
each other, he looks better.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, they've had a decade to do that,
Nah, that's
but
nonsense.
the technology is
Bullshit.
still there.
Yeah.
you you could still do. I mean, the technology. You just apply that technology to her. I mean, I'm sure it's not quite that easy, but I don't know. There were times that the effect stood out. It's still a good effect, okay? I'm not going to sit here and say it looks terrible. It's not like, oh, it looks like PS2 graphics. You know, people like to say that. I don't know. It doesn't look that bad. But in comparison to everything else within Marvel and in this show and other, I mean, in the very same scene sometimes, Mark Ruffalo's Hulk will come down and be there, and you're just like, that's different teams or something. I don't know. But it does stand
Yeah.
out. But, I mean, that's honestly, if it had good storytelling, I'd be willing to look past that. I'd be okay with it because it's passable. It's fine. It's the effect
Yeah.
for her is good enough. At times it is inconsistent, and at times it's better than others. But it's the biggest problem I have with the show is that it's just nothing's happening. It's boring. It's more concerned with little quips and just trying to her constantly. She will constantly talk to the audience and break the fourth wall, which She-Hulk does that, and that's fine. But there's issues with the show that she will look to the screen and say. She will call the issue out. And this is one of those shows that thinks it's okay. That's how you fix the issue. We have an issue. We have this thing that's not right with our show. So our character will call it out. And since we know it, that makes it okay. But it doesn't. That doesn't make it okay. It's still an issue.
Yeah, like the episode where she's like, "Oh, you know that wedding episode? Yeah, that's this episode. We're gonna take a week off." I'm like, you're just instilling the problem of what you're trying to make a joke about it, and you're not making it very funny. It's like, oh, we're gonna have a wedding episode and then do a wedding episode. It's like, why don't you play off that a little bit, and then we'll talk about the finale. But it's just like,
well, you hit it on the head right there. You're making
Yeah.
a joke about this thing, which is fine, and you're saying, "Oh, this is the wedding episode." That nobody likes. People don't want that episode. They're not looking for that. And we're doing it. We're taking a week off. We're doing the wedding episode. That's fine. Make that joke. But then you just do it. So you do the thing that you're calling out. It's like, no, that's not okay. If you want to call it out and make it like a fake out, like you're going to do it, or have like a shortened version of it, fine. But no, you just fucking do it. And that episode in particular, there was nothing there. The whole thing about her meeting that guy who ended up fucking her over, that's the only thing.
Yeah.
That's the only thing you get from that episode is that she met that guy who she ended up liking.
and then you bring Titania in, which is one of the worst fucking villains in Marvel Cinematic history. It's probably worse than Malekith or whatever the fuck his name is from Thor: The Dark World. It's like,
Yeah.
you took fucking what's her face, Jamila Jamil, who's actually a really good actress, and turned her into one of the worst actresses in the Marvel Cinematic. And it's
That fucking character's terrible. Titania. I don't even.
Yeah.
Every time she showed up, and we'll talk about it, but in the end, she shows up, and she even says to the She-Hulk says to the camera, she's like, "Why is she here?" That's how I felt every time she fucking showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Every fucking time this chick showed up, I was like, that was nothing new there in the end, because that's how I felt every fucking time she showed up. But anyway, yeah, the show, in my opinion, I know I kind of rambled a bit there.
No,
Just
you're
not
good.
a lot going on there. I didn't care for it. Yes, it does have some very heavy-handed moments concerning typically directed at men and stuff like that. I could work past that, but it is heavy-handed at times. I'm not going to really go
I
on
don't
about it
mind if
anymore.
it.
Do what?
Yeah, I don't mind if it makes fun of guys and people and men and stuff like that.
If it's funny.
That's if it's funny, hell yeah. But you know what the funny thing is, and we'll go continue. I apologize once again. The ending feels like they filmed it last week. Like they just like, oh, we gotta scramble for something. Like it's really weird. Like they're saying stuff in the finale that we've been complaining about all season, and I feel like they are trying to express some sort of commentary on the genre, but it feels like they're dragging themselves through the same problem.
It's just like I said a minute ago. You're calling out the problem, but you're not doing anything about it. So let's go ahead and get into that. All right. So the end of the show, we neither of us really cared for the show up to this point. There were, I think Nick, you probably disliked it more than I did. Up to
fucking hate it. It's
the
one
end.
of the worst things I've seen. Yeah.
Up to the end. I didn't hate it, but I certainly didn't love it, and I was just like, I don't need this. I didn't see the point in it. I was bored a lot. I didn't think it was good, but there were moments here or there that I was like, okay, I'm finding something here I like. There is some entertainment value in this. There were a lot more moments that weren't. I'll tell you that much. But this felt like a movie that they spread out into a show. You know, we were talking about the Iron Man, not Iron Man, the
Moon Knight,
Rhodey Rhodes
movie,
Armor Wars, that they took from a show and they're putting it into making it a movie now, which I think maybe is because they said, hey, we don't have enough for a show. This feels like a movie that they said, hey, let's make this a show, and they didn't have enough for a show. That's really weird. But anyway, I don't think it would have been a good movie either, but whatever. So, okay, we go into the end. In the end of the show, just a quick setup. Oh my god, it's so fucking fractured. She goes to Abomination has this compound where he does like these guru things, and there's this group of men who are hating on She-Hulk, and they embarrass her in front of some people and get her arrested by the superhero police. Yeah. And she has an inhibitor on, and she is not allowed to turn into She-Hulk anymore. Abomination also has this inhibitor, and he's not allowed to turn into Abomination, by the way. So she ends up at this compound through a course of events, and that's where they're having like this group of all these men who attacked her on social media and put her out there and
it's a toxic fanboys group.
A bunch of incels, if you will. And she goes in, and one of them was a client that she had before. He's some rich guy. And she busts in the room, and we find out that the guy she met at the wedding was actually one of them, and they contracted him to get this video, like sex video of her and all get all the info off her phone so they could expose her. And he also stole her blood, and they synthesized.
Can I add something real quick about that?
Oh, sure.
Who gives a fuck if She-Hulk's fucking somebody? Like, what? I don't understand the logic of that reasoning. Like, the second to last episode, she's exposed for having sex and she gets angry. Of course, I'm gonna get angry. You put on my personal life, but I don't understand. I don't understand the logic of that storytelling aspect, because it's like, so what? She had sex with a guy, like, and she's a woman. She has natural needs. Like, what was the point? I don't think it. Yeah. What the point of it?
Well, that's double-edged, actually. I didn't see why, and this is actually the second to last episode he's talking about. This is when she lost her shit. She's at a gala, and they throw it all up on a screen, and it shows like a sex video of her and this guy, and all of her personal information. And I'm like, I'm with you. I'm like, first of all...
Yeah, she says she knows who it is. They know who she is. Like,
yet nobody... I don't think anybody would be like, oh my God. I mean, they might be like, oh shit, that's embarrassing. You get your sex video up there. But I mean... Yeah. It's not going to ruin your life in the way that she acts, and also she gets so angry at it that it like makes her she hulks out and she loses her shit, which she talked about she never does, but anyway, she loses it. She's all like and all that, and we learn that we see that she loses it, and never really addresses that either, by the way. But she loses her shit over this. I'm like, why is she so mad about it? I mean, yeah, I would get being upset that somebody stole all your shit and put a sex video of you up there.
Yeah.
But to that degree, all these things that she said to put up with and all this other stuff she said to deal with, and she sees that, and it makes her, like, wreck the room and, like, fucking Hulk smash. I mean, I don't know. But anyway, so this guy and his group are the ones that did it. They get her blood. He injects himself with the blood to become, like, Bro Hulk. And he turns into, like, a Hulk. And then shit really goes off the rails. Abomination is there, and he is as Abomination, and she sees him, and she's like, you're not supposed to do that. And then Titania runs in. She just bursts through the door, and she's like, I'm here, bitches. And Bruce Banner, Hulk comes through the ceiling, and he's in space, by the way. We find out early. He's in the beginning of the show, and then he shows up a couple of times, and he's just not there anymore because he's on a spaceship and he's going to space for, I guess, like Planet Hulk or whatever you call it.
They can only give Mark Ruffalo so much money.
Yeah, but he bursts through. He comes. All these people just start bursting through, and it makes no fucking sense. The whole time, she's looking at the screen and she's talking to us, going, "What is going on? Why is this happening?" And she's like I said, fourth wall breaking. She's like, "This is how we're ending the season. What's going on? Blah 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 blah." And then like it stops and goes to the Disney Plus screen, like you backed out of it.
This is like Eternal Darkness all over again. I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
She bursts out of the tile where it would say like She-Hulk, where you would click on it on Disney Plus. She climbs down.
Tarzan's.
She goes through another tile. I didn't see which one. She ends up on the Disney lot. She walks into Marvel Enterprises. She demands to see Kevin Feige, or she goes in the writer's room and they say all the things like all the things that are wrong with the show.
God.
They start saying, and she's like, "Why don't we just do our own thing?" So, but then anyway, she ends up going to see Kevin Feige. She fights some security guards. This is in the real world, by the way. She bursts in to see Kevin Feige, which, if you didn't know, is the head of the MCU. Kevin Feige is a robot that looks like GLaDOS from Portal.
Yeah.
And he starts talking about how everything in the MCU is like algorithm. And she starts redoing the episode, the end of the episode for him, saying we should do this, we should do that, and blah, blah. There's meta, and there's whatever the fuck this is. I was literally watching, because I had already heard that something like this happened. I didn't know specifically what, but I heard
my God.
it got spoiled for me. And even knowing that something along those lines was going to happen, as I was watching, I was like, they're really doing this. They're really doing it. Now, I mean, there are films that have done similar things in the past. Blazing Saddles, Monty Python, Holy Grail.
Yes. Yep.
They've done similar things like this to where the characters leave that world and come into the real world.
Yes.
What is it she said in the first episode? I do it infinitely better than you. Yeah, those movies did it infinitely better than you. Because this was terrible.
What else? You know what else they do? You know what else? You know why else those things work? Because they're fucking funny.
Yes. There was nothing funny or ironic about there was really, it was nothing like, if you were laughing your ass off the whole time at this, it would have worked, but it wasn't. It literally, she comes out and the show tells you, the viewer, everything wrong with the show. Not just this part of the show, but everything wrong with the show as a whole. But those things are still wrong with the show. It's like, they're still wrong. Just because you said them doesn't make it better. That's great. You know what the fuck is wrong with your show. I'm happy to hear it.
Yeah, that's the main problem with the whole idea. The concept is, I said in my review, it's an interesting idea, but first you have her swinging out of the little icon thumbnail like Tarzan into the Marvel Disassemble thing. She walks across the Disney lot. Yes, people are going to look at her funny and crazy. She walks into the writer's room, and nobody in the fucking writer's room is even remotely surprised or shocked like this has happened before. And then to do fucking South Park, she walks in the room, and the room's basically like the manatees with the balls and shit. Like, they have no logical sense in what they're doing. This feels like a very tacked on thing where Kevin Feige is getting to a point where they're doing the South Park thing with, you know, Stan's character, where he was getting very tired of the bullshit, you know, with the whole Muhammad thing and just the fact that like everything feels like shit. And that's how I feel. I feel like fucking Stan from South Park, where I'm going, what? I read some people on Twitter that love this, and more power to them, but I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? You're not even giving us a competent TV show anymore. You're actually playing on meta. No, I don't want meta. I want a fucking TV show that makes competent sense. And then we lead to the ending, which makes no fucking sense. It's just like
this.
I was so baffled by what I was watching. I didn't understand it. It's just,
this
holy
is the
shit.
MCU, ladies and gentlemen. This is where we're at.
Yeah. I think he's gonna quit one of these days. I'm telling you, he's seeing this shit. He's like, oh man, this is. I don't know what the fuck they're thinking anymore. I don't. Maybe I'm wrong, but
you're right though. There was just nothing funny about it. If it was funny,
No.
maybe that would have made up for some of it. But there was just nothing funny about it. It was just like, this is just not. It's just not funny. I see you're trying to be funny. That you just said, that was supposed to be funny. But it wasn't. It's just too on the nose. And I don't it didn't do it for me. And you're right. There have been, I've heard a few people say they liked it. It's mixed, I guess. And I'm going to say that if you did enjoy this, if you liked the show as a whole, and if you liked this ending, good on you. I'm happy that you did. That's great. I'm happy that it brought you some joy. I did not. And I've heard a lot of people saying this is just too far. What the fuck is going on here? I mean, it does not strike me as a good story structure whatsoever in this show that's going on. There just isn't any. It's very reminiscent of the MCU as a whole since Endgame. It's just shit being thrown at the wall to see what works, and none of it works. Nothing here worked, in my opinion. And then in the end, Abomination gets sent to jail because he turned into Abomination. But she turned into She-Hulk. Because, like, she even says, I think he, and that was one of the things I felt was a little heavy-handed, because she said, I think he should atone for, his, accountability, take accountability for his actions. What about your actions? You were told you cannot turn into She-Hulk, and you turned into She-Hulk. Regardless of what the situation, that's what she's saying about him. It was your actions. He gets sent to jail for 10 years. She does not. I mean, he gets broken out by Wong there in the very end, but whatever. Oh my God, it's such a muddled mess. What is it there in the end that happens? There's something else in the very end.
Todd is the main guy. He gets arrested and
no, Hulk's son.
Oh yeah, okay. So here's my thoughts on that. They literally just did the Fast and the Furious, where they're all sitting around a barbecue and they bring in the kid to the family, whatever. It feels like that. I know Scar is a character I think comes out from of World War Hulk or something like that, one of those Hulk comic books. I don't have a problem with that, bringing his son into the mix, but it's just like, hey, what's up, guys? How you doing? Here's the son I didn't know I had. I'm like,
right? I was waiting for Tyrese and The Rock to walk up.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they were just sitting around having a barbecue. Daredevil showed back up because she said a girl's got needs.
Yeah.
And so he shows back up and stays in LA for a while.
They've already ruined Daredevil.
And then the Hulk just shows up, and he's got this like really bad looking CGI son with like a hairline way back here. He doesn't say anything. He's just like sitting there like looking like Shrek. And like it looked even worse than she did. It's like the CGI for each character gets worse, but yeah, Hulk. And I know that character is in the comics, but I'm just like, you just did that. You just introduced this character like that. No explanation. Just no. I guess we'll get explanation later. I don't know. Why not? That's what they do. They just introduce characters. They used to introduce characters in movies and then give them explanations in those movies so you were excited for the next movie. Now they introduce characters at the end of movies and you hope to get explanation of who they are later on. So it's like, what the fuck?
I can't remember what show or movie. I think it was a show that did this, where it gives you like all this stuff and just ends. And I'm like, what?
She-Hulk.
No, well, yeah, She-Hulk now, but there was another show that did that where it was just like it has all this stuff and it just ends, and I'm like,
well,
I'm being serious. This is actually might be worse than Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah, I'll say probably because it's longer.
Yeah. Well, this might be this. If I were to rank this in the TV series, I think Winter Soldier and Falcon may be worse than this, but I think this is near the bottom.
That was a mess. That was a fucking mess. I did get a little bit of enjoyment from this. I will say that. Yeah, this just doesn't fit. It didn't do it for me. I didn't really care for much of this. And no, it has nothing to do with it's a female character or men. None of that shit, man. All that stuff has nothing to do with it. Nothing at all. I swear, nothing. I mean, sure, somebody will probably accuse me of that. I'm a man, and I'm saying I don't like She-Hulk. So, and hey, if you feel that way, you feel that way. I can't change your mind. I'm not here to do so, but I'm just telling you that ain't it. It's just because the narrative structure here just wasn't there,
No,
and it just wasn't a good show. In my opinion.
I've always been on. Well, no, I've always been under pretense. I don't care if it's a man, boy, girl, man, boy, girl, man, girl, woman, guy, Asian, black, Hispanic. I don't give a shit who it is, what it is, where it's from, what it's been. If you entertain me, I will I will sing your praises. If you do shit like She-Hulk, I don't care if it's a girl or a male. I'm going to rip you apart, and I don't give a shit if you think I'm a bias or if you think I'm a misogynistic or not. I'm not. But if you think because I didn't like She-Hulk that I'm misogynistic, I don't care. The show sucked. That's just if ends and buts about it. I love WandaVision, but I hated She-Hulk, and that's just if ends and buts.
You think you'll get a season 2?
Oh yeah, there's gonna be a season 2 because it's fucking Marvel. But Antonio says no, sir. I did not like it. I didn't like it.
No, me neither. Well, that's our review. I mean, there's not a lot more to say about it. We didn't like it. No, sir, we didn't like it. That's our spoiler review of She-Hulk. If you did like it, by the way, I mean, you got to understand, this is our, at least from my perspective, I think yours too, Nick, this is our view. This is what we thought, our opinion. If your opinion was that you liked it, I'm not taking away from that. I'm happy that you liked it. I know at least one person or two people. I know at least two people that do like the show. One of them, I question why they like it, but whatever. If you genuinely do like the show, I'm happy for you. That's great. I just didn't. And that's my opinion. Your opinion is you liked it. My opinion was that I didn't. And that's all good. That's what makes us all like beautiful little snowflakes is we're all different. Yeah. But yeah, it wasn't good. But let us know in the comments below what you thought of She-Hulk, if you've seen She-Hulk, or if you plan on watching She-Hulk, and especially that ending. What'd you think? I just feel like that's going to be very divisive amongst fans and people alike. So let us know in the comments below what you thought of She-Hulk. All right. Went a little bit longer than I planned, but you know what? It's all good. We haven't
gotten to Halloween yet.
I wanted to say, that's the one that I figured we'd. I don't know. We'll see how much we got to say about that one. Well, let's move on in to our last. In fact, I'm probably gonna skip one. There's a new. We're gonna skip that story. It's not much going on there, and I'm gonna skip that one too. All right. So I'm going to skip 2 just because we are running a little bit shorter on time. And one of the stories was kind of superfluous. Phil Spencer did a little picture thing for, who was it? Bethesda saying, I think it was an anniversary of somebody, and he had some mystery Xbox on his shelf, and people were like, oh, it's a new Xbox console! And it actually was. It has come out. They did say, yes, it was one. But it's this. Hang on, for those of you that are interested.
Antonio says we need a 5-hour show. I'm like, Antonio, I know.
This picture here, he put this out and said it was for Fallout. I think it was like Fallout was however old. I think 10 years. No, it was more than 10 years, but it's whatever. It was an anniversary for them, and in the background up right there, I think you can see it right there.
Yeah.
There's something that looks like it's part of the family of the series consoles, but that's not either of the series consoles. And that is, in fact, a prototype for what they're calling the Keystone, the Xbox Keystone, Project Keystone. It's a streaming box. That's it. And they may know that they are working on something like that, like a streaming stick or a box or something. But I think they're actually working it. They abandoned that version, they said. So that is a real thing, but it's not a thing that we're ever going to see. So
was he the one that had something in the background that they were? Was it him or?
He's always got something in the background.
Yeah, I thought it was him or Reggie Fils-Aimé who had something in the background that they were working on, like the Switch or something.
He did. He's had Switch stuff because his background right here. This is his office. He always puts little Easter eggs in there. That's the thing. Whenever he does a thing like a live session, people are always looking. What's back there? He had a Switch in his background at one point. Okay. And it's always how he has his stuff arranged. And it was because at the time they were in talks with Nintendo to put Game Pass on Switch. And they still want to do that. They're just trying to figure out how that works. So I think that we will see that at some point. But either way, yeah, Keystone. I think that we're already seeing that because you've got some Samsung and another manufacturer TVs that are coming with Game Pass built in.
Yeah.
So you can like do the streaming through the TV itself. I think they just pivoted over to that. Instead of having like an external box, it's just going to come built into these things. I think that's where they were going. Plus, having a whole nother box, I was like, why not just get an Xbox at that point? I could see them doing a streaming stick, like a Roku stick or something, but like a whole nother box, that's at that point, get a Series S. I don't know, but whatever. Anywho, that was we're going to skip over that story, even though we just kind of did it. But what? Let's talk about this one. I know that Nick wants to talk about. The Naked Gun.
Yes, The Naked Gun.
The Naked Gun.
Yes.
Great
The
series
Naked
of films.
Oh, nice picture.
I love. You like that? I love me some Naked Gun. But if you're a Naked Gun fan, well, I've got some possible good news for you. Writer, director, comedian Akiva Schaffer is reportedly courting Liam Neeson for a Naked Gun reboot. Schaffer and Seth MacFarlane, one of the producers of the film, are courting Neeson to take the role, and the actor is currently in talks with them. Schaffer is set to direct, and while no green light has been given, sources say it's headed in that direction once a deal closes with Neeson. Dan Gregor and Doug Mand, who recently worked with Schaffer on the Emmy-winning Chippendale Rescue Rangers film, will write the script. Plot details are being kept under wraps, but Neeson might be playing the son of Detective Frank Drebin instead of stepping into the main role. So what do you think of all that, Nick? You excited for that and the possible direction it could be going?
That makes me wonder how. So Liam Neeson's what, 70? I guess he. It could be entirely possible if Leslie Nielsen was still alive, he'd be like 90 to 100.
You talk about that son thing? Yeah, that caught me off guard too.
Yeah. It's okay. So I don't know about you, but I don't remember Liam Neeson ever doing a comedy. At least I don't think. I mean, Phantom
he's
Menace
done some
was
romantic
pretty funny.
comedies.
Yeah, I guess. Lost Love Actually was, but he wasn't very funny in that.
But you got to think also, he is Leslie Nielsen
Yeah.
wasn't originally a comedic actor.
Yeah, that's true. Like you've seen comedic actors go dramatic. I'm not doing this to be joking. I'm just trying to think, was he ever in a comedy? But I think what Akiva Schaffer has proven, and I didn't know Seth MacFarlane was involved with this, so man, take it out for what it's worth. But Akiva Schaffer did that Chippendales Rescue Ranger movie, and that shit was pretty good. So, and he's pretty good with the Lonely Island and stuff like that. But I don't know how I feel about this, man. Those Naked Gun movies are some of the most funny movies, are some of the funniest shit I've ever seen. Like O.J. Simpson, as terrible as a human being as he is one of the funniest things in that movie outside of Frank Drebin. Like that shit is funny, and I just hopefully Akiva Schaffer can do like he did with Rescue Rangers and deliver something that's actually quite funny and entertaining. And maybe Liam Neeson will be like hilarious in it, but it's just like. It's like if you remade Lethal Weapon and you had Daniel Day-Lewis and
Daniel Day-Lewis in Lethal Weapon?
Yeah, you had Daniel Day-Lewis and some other who would be a good African-American actor to put in there?
Denzel Washington.
Denzel Washington. And you made it a buddy cop comedy, and it would be really weird. And Liam Neeson in this, that's why I sent the article to you, because I wanted to talk about it. It's just like it's such a weird thing to hear about a news article about Liam Neeson. I don't know. I mean, some of his action movies are funny.
See, you and we grew up in a time when we knew Leslie Nielsen as a comedic actor. But prior to that, I think people, when he first got into like Police Squad, which was the precursor,
Don Cheadle would be good.
That was the precursor to The Naked Gun. I think that they felt the same way because he was a serious dramatic actor prior to that, and of course, Airplane and whatnot. He was a serious actor, and that was one of the things that made it so funny that when he did do these roles is because he was a serious actor. So him going and doing these funny roles, I think, made people that knew him from his past were like, oh, this is funny because he's such a serious actor. So I think it could work. I mean, I I think this could. I don't want to see him as Frank Drebin's son. That seems odd. No, I mean, we're talking about the Naked Gun and that universe. If it is a continuation, I guess it doesn't really matter. They could just play it off like they do. I'm more concerned with the brand of comedy it will be, because the brand of comedy is very. The Naked Gun movies are very much. That brand of comedy is very much the directors and writers of that made like Kentucky Fried Movie, Airplane, and things like that. You don't see comedies like that anymore. That's not the brand. I'm not saying they're not funny. I wish we did see, and I would love for this to call back to that brand of comedy. But you don't.
I honestly think the closest we've ever gotten to that brand of comedy is, I can't remember if he directed it, but like the Lonely Island movies, like Hot Rod and the one where they were the pop star movie. I think those are the closest you got.
He directed both of those.
Yeah. So those are the closest you've gotten to like spoof style. Even though Hot Rod wasn't really like a spoof movie, it has that
feel. That kind of
feel of
feel.
like and
you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. He probably is the closest thing to the what were the directors' names? Oh man, I've lost them that quick.
Oh, it was Abrams and
I remember him. The other, the two brothers.
I'll look it up. Hold on a second.
I can't remember, but their brand of comedy you just don't see much anymore. But I think you might be right, because Hot Rod and especially like Never Stop, whatever Pop Star.
Yeah.
It was very much like a more modernized version
Zucker
of
Brothers.
the Naked Gun, huh?
Zucker Brothers.
Yeah, the Zucker Brothers. Their brand of comedy is a comedy I miss. I love that comedy, Airplane and all that. So I would love for him to bring it back and have that same type of comedy. Everything now, because if you look at the Naked Gun, it's not as raunchy as everything is nowadays. And I have nothing against raunchy comedy. I know raunchy comedy's always been around, but it was smart, dumb fun. But I mean, it wasn't really. They were PG-13, but none of it was like super raunchy. But it was still funny as fuck. It was very slapstick. And what were you going to say?
Did you ever see the Files from Police Squad, the show that was based
Police Squad, yeah.
Dude, that shit is hilarious. That's like early days Leslie Nielsen funny.
Mm-hmm. That's where it started.
Is hilarious, and I miss. See, that's the kind of stuff I miss about Leslie Nielsen and like Mel Brooks days and stuff like that. Is they were willing to push the boundaries, but they knew that these boundaries that were being pushed they were trying to say something in the boundaries they pushed, but they knew they could get away with some of the stuff they were doing. And you look at like Top Secret and shit like that. It's just, like you said, I miss those types of films.
We don't get that kind of comedy anymore. Yeah. It's just genuinely funny, and it's timeless. It's timeless comedy. It's not tied to something that's going on right now. So
yeah,
I'm hoping. I mean, I'd love to see Liam Neeson do this, because he does. He has that. We're used to seeing him play super tough guy roles, and now he'll be like this goofy Frank Drebin character. I'd love it. Absolutely, bring it on. I want to see it happen, but I really hope that they stick with what Naked Gun was. I am curious if this is going to be a continuation or a reboot. But I think I said reboot, but we have no idea what it's going to be. So yeah, Naked Gun. I'm sure we'll hear any day now whether he accepts it or not. So if he does, I assume it's going to get greenlit. I think Paramount's behind it. So it'll show up on Paramount Plus.
Yes.
I'm sure. But Naked Gun fans, are you out there? Does anybody know what the Naked Gun is? Are we showing our age?
Yeah, we are showing our age, but oh man, if you haven't seen Naked Gun, oh my god, you need to watch Naked Gun.
All three of them. They're all three good. People talk about, the third one's not as funny. Yeah, but Naked Gun, not as funny, is still funnier than a lot of other comedies. I love those movies. They're hilarious.
Which one had the life-size human condoms? Was that part
The first one.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
I think the first one had Ricardo Montalban too. Oh god, yes.
Yeah. They're all hilarious. So yeah, but if you haven't seen any of the Naked Gun movies, I strongly recommend going and checking them out. Just know what kind of comedy you're getting into. If you are a fan of Naked Gun, let us know in the comments below if you're interested in this reboot. If you think Liam Neeson will be a good fit to replace Leslie Nielsen. I think I saw someone in the comments say big shoes to fill. Yes, sir, you are correct. They are big shoes to fill. So, but I'd be interested. I think he could. I think it could be really funny if it's the right material. So, let us know in the comments below what you guys think of a Naked Gun reboot. Okie dokie. Since we skipped a story, now we're gonna jump into the juiciest part of the entire episode.
I don't know. That picture was pretty juicy.
Well, this is the part you've been waiting on, Nick. This is the part you've been waiting for. You've been looking forward to this your whole life.
Have I really?
Your entire
know,
life.
right?
You've been looking forward to this. Halloween Ends. The spoiler review. So, I'm going to say real quick, we're going to talk about this movie. We're going to both give our thoughts. Nick, I know you've already done a spoiler review of it. It's doing well for you, by the way. I have not given my thoughts because I just watched it this morning. Neither of us know what the other thought. I got a pretty good idea what Nick thought of it, but I know he doesn't. We have not spoken about it. Besides, since seeing it, we've not spoken about it post viewing. We will be speaking spoilers here, so if you've not seen Halloween Ends and you don't want it spoiled, unfortunately, I'm going to have to ask you. You're probably going to want to go. Come back afterwards. But if you have seen it, or if you don't care about spoilers, then hang out and we're going to talk about it. There's not like a ton to spoil, but there are some big spoilers. I'll say that. It's really just a few big spoilers that the whole movie revolves around. So I will say that much. So, but if you don't care about spoilers, welcome. Let's talk about this thing. I want to, because since my views are kind of like up in the air at the moment, let me give everybody a brief synopsis of what you thought of this movie. What's your brief review of Halloween Ends?
Okay, non-spoiler or spoiler, doesn't matter. Let's just do non-spoiler. I'll do non-spoiler.
Yeah, let's stray from spoilers until after we talk about what we thought of the movie overall.
Okay, so as if you've watched this show at some point in the last couple of weeks or a month now, you know that I have heard some things about this movie that I was not real happy about. Okay,
we.
Oh yeah, we were both, but yeah, we were both not happy about. Well, yeah, I'm sorry. Yes. So with that said, I want to give David Gordon Green the benefit of the doubt, but he's made some statements that pissed me off a little bit. Even John Carpenter has made some statements that pissed me off a little bit about how he handles his content. Halloween Kills, hated very, very much. Went in this movie very unoptimistic for this movie. And this is making my top 10 worst of the year. This movie is shite. This movie is a piece of garbage wrapped in a tinfoil of poop, spread all over someone's house. We'll throw that analogy. This is a flaming dead bag of dog shit that Adam Sandler and Billy Madison put on the doorstep, and that poor old man had to step on. I am that poor old man that had to step into this world of Halloween Ends and deal with this fucking nonsensical bullshit movie. Jacob, what do you think of the movie? I'm not even joking. This movie sucks. This movie is an absolute train wreck of a movie that should be buried and never talked about ever again after today. Thank you for all the views, by the way. I do appreciate it, but we're not talking about this movie again.
But did you like it?
Yeah, if I was high on heroin or something like that, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
No.
All right. So, all right. Me, Halloween. I've said it a bunch of times. I'm not going to bore you guys with it too much. I wasn't always the biggest Halloween fan of the original 78. Never hated it, but I was just never the biggest fan. 2018 came out. I went and saw it. My wife loves Halloween, so we went and saw 2018. I really liked 2018. I really liked the Halloween 2018. It gave me a new appreciation for the original one, the 78. I went back and have watched that. We watch it yearly, and I like that movie a lot more now. It made me more of a Halloween fan. I was surprised. So when Kills came out last year, I was excited for that because I was a Halloween convert, if you will. Kills came out. I didn't like Kills. Did not like Kills. I watched it again the other night with my wife, who is a huge Halloween fan, like I mentioned. She didn't like Kills either. But I didn't care for it. It had a lot of...
real quick? I'm on Kill, like, her being like a huge Halloween fan, what did she have any specific that she didn't like about it? Because I'm always curious about, like, if you're like a huge Halloween fan, what you think about these movies. Not you, I'm just saying in general.
Yeah.
Like,
A lot of the same issues I had with it, how this whole rebooting of the series, or like mid reboot, like
yeah,
retconning all the other sequels and becoming the new sequels of Halloween, was supposed to like bring Michael Myers back to more of being immortal,
Boogeyman.
less supernatural
Yeah.
stuff, and the end of Kills just goes right back to that.
yeah.
She said that like the movie seemed like it had some type of like an agenda, and like it was like stopped being a Halloween movie for a while. It just went into all this other stuff, and I was like, "Yep, that's a thing." Which, I mean, that's not what there's messages. I think you and I talked about this with Kills. There's messages, political or otherwise, in lots of movies.
Yeah.
But damn, they don't have to be so in your face, and take away from the movie that the story you're trying to tell.
Yeah.
And she, very much her views were very much like mine. The kills were really cool, but the story was just boring, and it was just a bunch of people running around talking about evil dies tonight. And like, that's it. She just didn't do it for her. In the end, she said was dumb. She was like, she said it before I could. She was like, how did he teleport up there behind her? Is he Jason Voorhees now? I guess so.
I said I said the same thing when I was reading the script. I'm like reading this. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. And then I saw it in the movie. I'm like, how the fuck did he get up there so fast? He doesn't walk that fast. He's
Yeah.
like slow as shit.
He like teleported, but yeah, that was
anyway.
her views matched mine. And my upon a second viewing, my views are pretty much the same about Kills. So
Yeah.
so yeah, Kills didn't do it for me. I'd heard in reporting on this movie leading up to the release of it, like Nick said, some disparaging things that I was just like, oh, I don't care for this. I will say I'd heard that they were going to be inserting a bunch of stuff about the pandemic into it. I didn't get it. I didn't see any of that.
No, nothing about it.
Yeah, I had heard that was going to be a part of it, and it was. So hey, good on them for that. That wasn't part of it. I did not see. Okay, the fact of the matter is the second movie had a lot of political not imagery, but just it was trying to say something politically. About more recent events. This one, I didn't get that. I didn't get any of that in this one. If it was there, they cut it out.
Beginning.
Huh?
Yeah, no, it's in the beginning. It's more in the beginning and kind of how the characters get treated. That's the stuff they're talking about. That's the political stuff, but it's not as in your face as a bunch of fucking insane morons and like kills.
It's not. It's not like the second one. So they did that. It is better in that regard. That those agendas and things like that, regardless if they line up with your beliefs or not, aren't there. So it's just a Halloween movie. Well, it's just a movie. It's not about that stuff.
That's exactly right.
So going into the movie, I was very cautious. I was not cautiously optimistic anymore. I was kind of like, this is probably not going to be good. I heard bad things. Kills wasn't great, and it sounds like it's going right into it. So I go into the movie, and it starts out, I will say the movie starts out with a bang, if you will. The opening is like...
it took me by surprise, actually.
Unfortunately, because of leaks of plot details, and we are getting into spoilers, like I said, I knew basically what was going to happen as it was happening. I was like, okay, this must be this. We had heard that the story was at least in part going to focus on a character that was babysitting someone and killed the kid. That's all we knew. We didn't know if it was maliciously or accident or what. Well, it does. It opens up with this character, Corey, and he accidentally kills the kid. He's the little asshole he's babysitting because the kid's fucking with him and he's freaking him out and he's trying to get out of a door and he kicks it open and it hits the kid and the kid falls over a rail, falls down like 4 stories, and it shows him hit the ground and like fucked up, and that's the beginning of the movie. So I was like, oh wow, that it starts with a bang. So the first few minutes in, and I was like, okay, I'm not hating this.
Yeah.
Okay, we've started well. And the movie goes on from there. This isn't going to be a bit beat for beat, but my basic, just to show you, that was the headspace I was in at the beginning of the movie. As the movie went on, it makes some decisions and some choices that we're going to talk about. But overall, it wasn't even like it was a Halloween movie. It was like the majority of this movie was a different movie entirely. It was not. You would be forgiven if you thought you put the wrong disc in, as you're watching these movies, and you're like, oh shit, I thought I was putting in the sequel to the Halloween Kills, and I put something else in that just has the same actors in it, because it's not. It doesn't even. There are little things here or there that further the story a little bit, but it's very different. Michael Myers, just not there.
It does the thing where it's like, we're gonna wrestle with the idea of Michael Myers, and then we're gonna Anakin Skywalker and make Michael Myers, after only 4 years, a myth. And I'm like, what?
And I'm very torn on this movie because I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna say this thing. I'm gonna say it. I didn't hate this movie.
Oh damn it! No, that's cool. I'm glad at least you didn't hate it.
I didn't love it, but I did not hate the movie. There are things about it I didn't like, and there are issues it has for sure. But I did not hate this. But I liked this movie more than Halloween Kills.
Cool.
Now, in me saying that I didn't hate this movie, I'm not necessarily saying it's a good sequel to Halloween or for Halloween. Because the movie's, it's doing something different. That's for damn sure. I'll give them that. They are trying to do something different.
Yeah.
I just don't know if that's what people are wanting. And if that's what they want. I get what he meant now. David Gordon Green made comments saying this movie's going to do a lot of things that are going to piss off the fans. And in that, I'm like, it's good to do things different, but why would you knowingly go piss off the fans? But, and we'll get into those things, but Michael Myers is just not in the movie, really. He very, very briefly. He's not really into the movie until the last maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Yeah,
maybe?
he shows up like sparingly.
Yeah, barely at all.
I actually thought they were doing something clever with the homeless guy. We'll talk about it, but I thought they were gonna, because I thought that was Nick Castle who's playing the homeless guy. I can't remember offhand. And Nick Castle, of course, played the original Michael Myers, and I almost thought they were doing something clever with that, and they didn't do that. So
it actually was going to be Michael Myers because he said, "I'm Michael Myers."
The homeless guy was Michael Myers, and they were going to play off that a little bit, but then I'm like, that doesn't make any sense, and then they went places. So,
well, so. This movie couldn't be a standalone movie on its own. I mean, I guess you could change some names and stuff like that, but I mean, as a movie, just a movie all by itself, I didn't hate it. There's some choices. It was just kind of, it's fine. As a Halloween sequel, no, I don't think it was very good. But I will give it credit, man. It tried something new, very different. It went in a different direction.
Did it though, or did it start stealing from other movies?
Well, a different direction for Halloween. A different direction for Halloween.
I'll give you that.
It was not what I expected in the slightest. Man, I'm really conflicted on this thing because I can say I didn't love this movie. There's nothing about it I loved. There's a lot of stuff. There are a lot of things that happen in this movie that I'm just like, why did that happen? But I will go out on a limb. I will go out and flat out say I like this more than Kills. Like a lot more than Kills. I really didn't like Kills, and I like this a lot more than Kills. I think Kills had better kills, but I think that, ironically enough, but I liked this more than Kills. So, even more spoiler territory real quick. Ultimately, the basic premise of this movie is this kid, Corey, or a young adult Corey, because it's 4 years later after the end of the last movie. Michael's missing, and nobody's seen him since the night that he killed Laurie's daughter. And most of the movie, you see this Corey guy kill this kid in the beginning accidentally. He gets off, but he's kind of a pariah in the town, obviously. The town's like ravaged, like everybody's fearful of Michael Myers. and it's like people, his legend is, kind of ruining the town. It's very Freddy's Dead, where the town's kind of going to shit because of this legend.
Yeah.
But Lori has moved on. She's, just finally given up on it. She's like writing a book, I guess, about Michael or about her experiences or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The granddaughter, excuse me, is living with her, and she through a course of events, she ends up getting this Corey kid involved with her daughter or her granddaughter, because she thinks, oh, he's a good kid, and they hook up. And they start to like each other. Now, this right here, I didn't buy that at all. Why did she just suddenly start liking this guy that came into the ER that she worked at?
Yeah, you know what I thought about that? Excuse me. I went to Back to the Future all of a sudden because they talk about the Nightingale effect, about how the nurses fall in love with their patients and stuff like that. I guess that is a real thing that kind of happens, but. And I think her name's Andy Matichak or something like that. She plays Allison. She's the granddaughter. She's been through a lot of shit. I understand she has serious PTSD and she has serious trauma through her parents dying and dealing with Michael Myers. But she is one of the most poorly written characters through this entire series because she makes decisions throughout this whole entire trilogy that is borderline inept.
Preach.
Like, I didn't understand. Yeah, like in the last movie, she's like, we're going to go take down Michael Myers. And I'm going to bring a shotgun, even though he's a very violent individual. In this one, I'm going to date a guy who's going to be a psychopath, and we're going to talk about that, and blah, 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 and we're going to escape the city, and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, where the fuck is this coming from?
Yeah, why? That's what I was saying.
Where coming from?
That's what I was saying. Like, I don't see it as a good sequel to Halloween or the Halloween movies we've gotten. I didn't. Why did she take a liking to this guy suddenly? I don't get it. Okay, fine. You roll with it.
For him?
You roll with it. They needed that to happen. All right, so now she's wanting to like hook up with this guy. They're developing a relationship. Good on them. Young love. All that. Now the rest of the movie is like up until the final quarter is really just Laurie going around the town. Every now and then you get some callbacks to the other movies where they're like, "Oh, Michael's," and apparently now it's a thing. People are saying that she fucked with Michael Myers, and that's why he lost his shit. He was mentally challenged, and she fucked with him, and that's why he went and killed all the people.
Yeah,
that's a thing now.
I mean,
I guess that was their way of saying how people twist things around and all that in media.
Yeah, I mean, I could kind of see that because like she's so inundated with Michael Myers in 1978's Halloween. Like I could understand that. Didn't bother me that much because it's very David Gordon Green and Danny McBride and the three other screenwriters for this movie, like James Down says in the comments, is very progressive in their thinking, and they want to show what I'm not going to say it, but they want to show a certain event and how people look at that event and how people just look in general when certain things happen. And that's what happens here. You see it with like the wife or the sister of the woman who got stabbed, the one that had the drone in the Halloween Kills. And they want to show the effect of like blaming Laurie Strode for that, and I get it. I understand that. I think it's just too on the head when it hits that nail. So
yeah, that was a little. I mean, I don't know. That's like that's a slippery slope there when you start messing with that. But like you said, that stuff, I was like, okay, whatever, just moving on. They didn't really spend a lot of time on it. It came up a couple of times. The radio jockey, he said some stuff about it. But so the whole movie is really just this relationship between this really damaged guy. Now, there was something they were doing, they started doing, they kind of did with this character, and I think that they were trying to say this, but they didn't do the greatest job. They really were half-assed on it. How they wanted to say it was kind of like creating a monster, like how this guy who was a good guy, this bad thing happened that wasn't his fault, and how he was turned into a monster more or less. By the end of the movie, this guy has become Michael Myers, by the way. And we'll talk, there's some possible supernaturalist shit going on, looking into people's eyes or some shit. We'll get there. But I liked how, like, when the dad was saying, I pulled over on the side of the street to, like, I looked in his eyes and I wanted to like forgive him and all this, but then that kid, I don't think that kid killed my kid, but when I looked into his eyes, that wasn't the same person. Like I don't know if the town did it or what. And it is like you're led to believe that over just all these people giving just being really terrible to this person. I could see that in a situation like this, a small town. Yeah, the town will probably like just give you all kinds of shit about it. And
Well,
it slowly turned him into a monster. I like that idea.
Yeah.
I just don't think it was executed very well.
Yeah. Here's the thing, and I don't know if I'm assuming you've seen Christine, right? The John Carpenter, Stephen
Yeah.
King.
Yeah. You can't polish a toy.
Speaking of, I think Christine the car was actually in Master of the Universe, by the way. I don't know if that long it's been. I think that's why Christine's pissed in Christine. Anyways, the movie of Halloween Ends has a character called Corey Cunningham. The main character in Christine is Arnie Cunningham. The idea of this nerd who gets picked on by everybody, including his friend, somehow develops, and we'll talk about it in a second, somehow develops this infatuation with this symbol, this object, starts to turn towards that object, and then as we see at the end, the object becomes the main part. And that's what's happening here. This guy goes from a complete and total nerd that is being picked on by everybody, including some stereotype bully characters from high school. And there are things in this that are, I guarantee you, their homage is for John Carpenter's Christine.
Well, yeah, and Green said that he did have a lot of inspiration from that.
Okay. Yeah, which is, I don't understand the logic in that. That's not Halloween. You don't homage Christine in a Halloween movie. That's like, homaging.
Wrong John Carpenter movie.
Yeah, you homage Taken and Naked Gun or some shit. Yeah, I don't know. But
well,
anyways, yeah.
So okay, let's get to the part. Well, Michael Myers is still alive. He's just nobody can find him. We find out that he's been living in the sewers with Pennywise. Eating what? Doing what? Definitely not bathing, I'll tell you that much. But he's been down in the sewers.
Evil did bathe tonight.
Evil bathes tonight. But he, the kid, Corey gets beat up by some high school kids. Corey's an adult at this point, by the way. He's like 21 or 2. He's getting picked on by a bunch of high school kids, by the way. In the band. Marching band kids, by the way.
Yeah, because they wouldn't give him beer.
How the fuck are you getting picked on by marching band kids? But anyway, he is, and he gets thrown over a fucking bridge where this this drain hole is, and that's where Michael is. And Michael drags him in there, and he has an encounter with Michael Myers. This is the first time we see Michael Myers in the movie. You've seen it in the trailer where he's down in the sewer. And he grabs the kid, and they look into each other's eyes. They gaze longingly into each other's eyes. And we see flashes of stuff. I think it's from the previous movie. I don't know if Michael was transferring part of his consciousness or something over to this kid,
conduit or some shit.
But at this point,
he only had like.
It's never said, but we're led to believe strongly that something happened there. They had a connection, and now the kid has taken on part of Michael Myers or something. I don't know. He at this point he becomes fucking psycho. He becomes what everybody's saying he is in the town. And he gets this infatuation. He ends up, there's a guy that, the young girl that he's now trying to date or pseudo-dating, Laurie's granddaughter, her ex-boyfriend was a police officer. He lures him down there and has Michael murder him. And, also when you kill people now, and I don't think this was a thing in the previous films, but for Michael and him, there is a supernatural element because Michael's all fucked up and he's like, he can barely move. But as he starts stabbing this police officer, his bloodlust comes through and he heals and he stands up straight and he's like, he's better. So killing makes him stronger. But we see that with the kid later on, the Corey. He goes and murders a guy, stabs him in the neck with a fucking corkscrew. And then as he's done that and he watches Michael stab the woman, you see his hand start to heal, or it is healing, or it's in better shape than it was. So murder will heal you physically in this world, apparently. I guess. Was I seeing things? Is that what you gathered from that?
I don't know. I sure. I'll just quote the famous rapper. I can't remember which one sang it, but "Murder was the game." No, I'm just gonna shut up.
Murder was the case.
Murder was the case.
I don't know, because it's like the movie never really addresses it head on, but it pretty much does. I mean, it shows his hand, and like as he's done the murders, it starts to get better. It is better, and Michael clearly became erect from murdering that guy, and he's all good now. He's all fucked up before, and now he's like, oh yeah, I'm Michael Myers again. So yeah, now this guy's like, I guess, and then it's really erratic because he murders these people in cold blood with his little mask, his little clown mask that is reminiscent of the first Halloween movie, the first mask that Michael wore. And then, like in the next scene, he goes and picks up Laurie Strode's granddaughter. I can't even remember the girl's name. That's how pitiful the character is, Allison. And he's like, I think I've done something bad, and all that. And he's like, we need to get out. It's like he's like two different characters, like going back and forth. Like he wants to go murder people, and then he wants to be. I don't know. I guess it's,
let's have sex now.
Yeah, it's supposed to show like conflict, I guess, but it doesn't do a very good job of it. So these are the parts of the movies I didn't like. I was following it, but I was like, this is very hamstrung together. But then, so we get to the end of the movie. And I'm sure we've skipped a few things. He goes on a murderous rampage, by the way. He attacks Michael. That's right.
Yeah, and steals the mask. Can I have to ask you this?
Sure.
Did you not laugh? Okay, so some of the kills are really cool, like the torch to the kid's mouth. You see it, and like that is an awesome kill. I gotta admit, I really enjoyed that. There were some cool kills. But would you be okay? So the father, I think it's his like stepfather or father or something like that. The one that's giving him the job, Corey, the job and whatnot. He's just inside the yard, the junkyard, watching Hard Target, which I thought was pretty funny.
Right.
And this kid walks in. He's like, "Oh my god, this guy's out there. He's killing people." Okay, I'm gonna give you the rifle or the shotgun or whatever you get, and you go and you stay here. But I'm gonna give you a rifle. And then he's gonna go out and see Corey holding the mask. I'm pretty sure he should know better than to give a kid who's under a lot of, adrenaline and is very bloodlust, a gun, because it's not gonna end well, and there's no logic and rhyme or reason. So you don't give a kid a rifle when that's going on. At least I don't know. Maybe Jacob, maybe you feel differently, but.
No, I'm with you. I probably wouldn't have given. I probably would have taken the rifle and the handgun myself, seeing as how you told him stay here. But yeah. Well, that was actually on his. Before that was his murderous rampage that Corey goes on, because Corey goes just randomly.
Yeah, DJ'd. Yeah.
Michael is his mentor, and then he just decides randomly goes into the sewers and beats the shit out of Michael. And he says, "You got something I want," and he jumps on him like a fucking gremlin. He takes the mask. He leaves. It is kind of fun. But he leaves, and he becomes Michael Myers, more or less. It's him, but he's dressed up, in the mask and the jumpsuit. He gets a jumpsuit like his. Michael's alive, but he just doesn't have the mask.
He just sits up. He's like...
Yeah, and he goes and he kills the kids that were picking on him. And he kills...
The DJ kill was pretty cool, too.
Yeah, the DJ kill, although he just busts out some scissors out of nowhere. He beats the fucking guy's head in, and like his jaw's all hanging off. That was cool. He's like, and then he just comes in from the side with a pair of like kitty scissors and like click. I'm like, where did the scissors come from? But okay, whatever. It was cool. And then the tongue's on the thing, and it's like hitting the record, the record needle. So he kills the DJ, he kills the kids. His dad or stepdad, whichever it is, gets killed in the process. He doesn't kill him. One of the kids does, trying to kill him. Does he kill somebody else? He kills his mom.
Yeah.
It doesn't show it. It shows him attack her, and then it just cuts off.
Yeah.
I don't think he killed anybody else.
No, he's pretty much killed everyone that's wronged him. Like, he killed the 4 kids, and I just think it was very convenient. Like, the 4 kids just, or I don't know. Everything seemed convenient as well in this movie.
Oh yeah. Well, then he goes to Laurie's house. Oh no, he does all that. That's right, he does all that, and then he goes and meets with the girl Allison, and he's like, let's get out of this town, and all this, and like now he's back to normal, but he's sleeping in. Oh wait, was that earlier in the film? I'm sorry, I'm getting the movie.
Yeah, no, he basically what ends up happening is.
Oh, he goes to Laurie's house. That's right.
Yeah, he ends up because he Lori confronted him at the house as he was sleeping in the house where the kid died.
Yeah,
and she's like, I know evil and I see it in your eyes and stuff like that. Anyways, he's getting back at everyone who wronged him basically. But he goes to the house, and I was like sitting there and I'm watching this movie, and Lori lights the pumpkin, and then she calls the police. And she's like, "Hey, look, people, I'm gonna commit suicide. There's gonna be a suicide, or somebody's gonna kill themselves." And it's like, I'm like, oh my god. And then of course my Corey comes up in the Michael Myers mask, opens the door, and Lori's like, fuck you. Would you think that was actually gonna happen? And she shoots him and stuff like that. He falls down the steps. And
I will say one of my issues with the trailer, because it showed that in the trailer. She pulls it, and I was like, the movie's over right there. I was like, because Michael's supposed to be somewhat not totally supernatural. She just blew his fucking head off. I mean, is the gun gonna jam or whatever? Well, I mean, there you go. It wasn't Michael, but she shot the shit out of him. How does
Michael Myers know where to go? Does he know? Like, is he seeing through Corey's eyes and where he's at?
He saw her there earlier in the film. I will say that much. There was a part. It showed him like off the side, and he walked off for some reason. But how he got there, I don't know. But he did know she lived there. Yeah. But yeah, well, she shoots Corey. He falls down, and she goes down there, and she's I can't remember what she's saying. Something to him about how I'm gonna fuck you up and all this. And he I think the daughter. He hears the daughter or Allison come home outside, and he takes the knife, and he says, "If I can't have her, nobody can," or something like that. And he stabs himself in the neck. And of course,
like, oh shit.
Of course, Lori pulls the knife out. And as this is happening, you're like, she's gonna walk in and see her with a knife and think she killed him. She pulls the knife out, and then Allison walks in, and she's like, "What did you do?" And she's just holding. She's like, "Oh no, I didn't do that." It was such a trope. That was a hell of a trope right there. He drops the knife, and Allison's freaking out, and she runs off. He's dead, we think, and Lori just falls down. She's like, "Oh no, life is terrible," but he's dead. And then she hears somebody walking around. You see somebody pick up the mask. Michael's there now, and she realizes he's there, gets her shit together, and they have their big fight for the end of the movie. And it's the fight that we saw in the trailer with the kitchen. What'd you think of the fight?
It's fine. It's not what I would call it. It's not the best fight I've seen. I still think the original Halloween 2018 has the best fight of the series.
In her house there at the end.
Yeah. I think that's really good. I think the problem here is how it ends more than anything, because one of two things are going to happen, or one of three things are going to happen. Michael Myers is going to kill Laurie Strode. Laurie Strode is going to kill Michael Myers, or they're going to kill each other. And that's what it looked like. It looked like at some point when she had Michael Myers pinned down at the table, and then cutting his throat. Apparently you can't kill the boogeyman because they need to slice him open like 6 different ways. He grabs her by the throat, and she's like, "Do it!" And then we see all the flashback shit. I thought it was going to be that they were just going to kill each other, which is kind of what I wanted. I wanted Laurie Strode's character to be done, to kind of have a redemptive arc about after what happened in Resurrection and stuff like that. And
well, she has said she's not coming back for another Halloween movie.
God, I hope not. I hope Jamie Lee Curtis moves on to other things like retirement or something like that. No, anyways, it was fine. It was fine. It was perfectly all right. It didn't bother me as much as like I said, the Corey Cunningham shit should never been in the movie. This should have been a movie that took place right after Halloween Kills, and it didn't. It decided to jump forward 4 years, and this is what they felt they could get out of it. It's fine. It's brutal. It's violent. It allows both characters to get the upper hand on one another. It's intense, and I think it works. But I just think where it ends up playing out, which we'll talk about, is where I really have
where
a
it inevitably goes.
So.
Well, I liked.
Yeah, Field of Dreams.
I'm with you. I think that the fight in the first one was more intense, because in that one when I say the first one, the 2018, because I thought she was going to die in that one too. I thought he was going to get her, or I didn't know. You didn't know, and I will say that much for this fight. It was fine. It was good. It was intense because you didn't know. I like you said, your 3 options: he dies, she dies, they both die. I didn't think her dying and him not. I figured he was going to die. At least maybe we'll get like a thing where he disappears or something. But he was going to not make it through this fight. But I didn't know she was. So as they were fighting, I did keep. It was a bit tense. I was like, oh. she's gonna, is he gonna get her somehow? And when he grabbed her by the neck and we have the flashbacks, I thought, okay, this is it. He's gonna stab her and he's gonna bleed out. She's gonna bleed out. And they're gonna bleed out looking into each other's eyes or something like that. Mm-hmm. But that's not what happened. She just sat there and kind of like slowly tortured him. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. Seeing what this guy's done over the years and how much he's done to her life and everything he's done just within this movie, I think I would have cut his fucking head off.
I mean, she did that quickly. In H2O. I mean, no, I'm sorry. She supposedly
cut the ambulance driver's head off.
Yeah.
No, I would have.
But yeah,
been much quicker in what I would have done to him. But no, he almost gets her, and the Allison comes in and saves her and says, "No, you're not gonna die tonight. Evil dies tonight, not you." I don't know, but so he's dead, and the police show up. They like cut his throat. She cut his wrists. She's got him stabbed, like pinned down like Jesus, and he's dead, supposedly. Yeah. And the police come in. And they're like, "Oh, are you okay? Where is that Michael?" And she's like, "He's dead." And one of them, I can't remember, says, "Not dead enough." So this is when shit gets a little weird. They take Michael Myers' bloody, mutilated body and they tie it to the top of her Ford Focus or whatever she's driving, and they drive like a funeral procession throughout the town as the whole town, I guess word spread. The whole town gets involved and starts following them, and even the state police come in and they're like, one of the cops you hear say, "This ain't the way we do this," and the other cop says, "It is tonight." And they take Michael Myers, the whole town takes him to the dump or whatever it is, the scrapyard, and they have one of those machines that you see those Satisfying videos where they like destroy like metal and stuff.
Yeah,
I guess for destroying cars. And she dumps Michael's body into it, and we see him get obliterated into nothing. And that's the end of the movie. She goes on and she reads her book. The police officer that she has a thing for and he has a thing for her, they get together and the mask is in her living room or something.
Yeah, they got to get those cherry blossoms together.
Oh, yeah. They talk about going to Japan. I ain't going to lie. The end, I wanted something a little bit more satisfying out of the end. It wasn't god awful, but it was like, I don't know. I wanted something a little bit more satisfying than just she cut his wrist, cut his throat. Something with a bit more punch. I mean, they obliterated his body. So if Michael Myers in spirit comes back, which apparently he can do that now, but his body ain't coming back because it's fucking pureed. It is gone.
Here's the thing. Somebody brought this up. Because he was a conduit for Charlie's body, do you think this is like now that she had sex with him, she's gonna have his babies, or the next movie is gonna be Halloween Rebirth or Halloween Reborn or some shit?
Jesus Christ!
So she's gonna have that baby in mind. They're gonna take from a Halloween Curse of Michael Myers, just have the reincarnation of fucking Michael Myers or some shit.
Probably.
You know they're gonna do it.
Fuck.
If this movie can rip off Friday the 13th Part 5 or Part 6, whatever, the one with
7,
whatever that, yeah,
or Goes to Hell. I think 7 or 8.
Right, where the victim becomes the murderer. They can do anything in Hollywood. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of funny. So.
Jesus. Well, I mean, okay. That So, all right, the movie, I still stick to, I like this more than Kills. Kills was a fucking mess. This had a lot of issues, a lot of conveniences, but lots of movies have conveniences that I still enjoy. As a movie, all on its own, standalone, I think it was fine. I enjoyed it enough to watch. I didn't hate it. As a Halloween sequel, it didn't really do it for me. It was just kind of like, I applaud them for trying something different. I'll give them that. Different within Halloween. I'll applaud them for that, but different does not always mean better. But I'm happy they tried something different. It just didn't really hit for a Halloween sequel. For just a movie, sure, whatever. I mean, it had a lot of conveniences. but they were just, I don't know. It's you got a Halloween movie that 3/4 of the movie Michael Myers is not even in it. That's kind of counterintuitive at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can do that if it makes it a good movie and makes it make sense, but it doesn't make it a good movie when you have a character that's ripped straight out of another property and he becomes like a conduit for this character.
The Corey character was so erratic.
Yeah.
It's like I liked what they set up and I liked what it seemed like they were trying to do. Like I said, the whole thing with the town making him a monster and him not being one, like turning him into a monster. I like that idea. The whole thing of him, through them making him a monster, do away with the fucking looking into Michael Myers' eyes and becoming him. That what the fuck? Get the fuck out of here. That was fucking stupid. I did not like that.
Yeah.
Because they had shown that he had so much turmoil or torment through the town that they would lead him down this, like, he had mental issues at that point. So I was like, okay, I could go with that. That he's just got been tormented by this town so much it drove him down this road. I'd be okay with that. And if he like picked up, the Michael Myers mantle, and maybe if part of the movie we thought it was Michael Myers, but it actually was him, which is what they were kind of, we thought was going to happen. I'd probably be sitting here saying that was kind of trite too, but I don't know. It just seemed really weird to have a Halloween movie that Michael Myers just really wasn't in.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it didn't overall do it for me. I will say I stand by. I liked it more than Kills. What about you? Did you like this less or more than Kills?
It's hard to say. Kills was ruined by that whole shit with fucking what's his face from
Anthony Michael Hall.
Yeah, all that shit. Because as much as I wasn't like a huge fan of Halloween 2018. It felt like a Halloween movie. Kills felt like something that was being politically thrown in my face, and I didn't like that. And this movie just felt. It's like when you watch. It's like when you watch a really good first act to a movie or first movie, and then the second one's fine, or not great, or pretty terrible, and you get to the third movie and you just kind of don't care anymore. I think that's what this movie did. I just stopped caring, and it really took me. From being a huge Halloween fan to just being like, I like the first one. To be fairly honest, the original 1978 first one. I think the newer one's okay, but you get to that third movie like Rise of Skywalker, and you're just like, I don't care anymore. Whatever, fuck this shit. And I think that's my. Well, I think David Gordon Green was just bored. I think the things he said, and then of course John Carpenter going, I don't care, just give me back some money. I don't care what you do with the property. He really kind of put me in a wrong headspace, and I feel like this series, though it has had like 85 iterations of other versions, really could have standed on its own as an interesting kind of trilogy. And once again, it just falls into that. Here we have 3 horror films and the franchise that is brain dead on every facet or level. And yeah, by the time I got to this one, I think it was just like I don't care anymore. So I think that's why I was even worse on it.
I can see that. Well, yeah. There it is, ladies and germs. Halloween ends. It ended. That's for sure. It
the next movie 3 years.
Kind of. I know Nick kind of hated it. I just thought it was kind of limp noodle. I mean, I don't think it was as. I probably liked it a little bit more than you, but at the same time, this is not. Well, I will watch it again. I'm watching it again tonight with my wife because she hasn't seen it yet. But beyond that, I will not watch it again. I mean, I have no desire to watch it. Like I said, the only reason I'm watching it again is because of her. But I have no desire to watch this movie again. I appreciate the swing, but it doesn't change the fact that it was a bit of a miss. For a Halloween movie. For a Halloween movie it was. It just seemed like a different kind of movie. It didn't seem like Halloween. But whatever. You win some, you lose some. At least it was better than Kills, in my opinion. But let us know in the comments below if you've seen Halloween Kills and what you thought of it. Did you think that it was a swing and a hit, or a swing and a miss, or just a fucking mess? I don't know. Or did you think it was great? Let us know in the comments below what you thought of Michael Myers' final foray into cinema. Okay. How long do you think it'll be until we get another one? Nick? I think we lost Nick. Ah! I'm double. We lost Nick. Let's give him just a second to come back. It's not on my end. Everybody still there? Well, anyway, this is weird. So you see like two different versions of me because I have two different cameras. This is what Nick usually sees. But, so we'll wait just a second to see if he's going to come back. And, Antonio, I see you still up there. Is James Downs? Are you still up there in the comments there, sir? Have either of you guys seen... I'm sorry, I haven't been looking at the comments as much. Have either of you seen Halloween Ends, and what'd you think of it? James is still here. Wow, he really didn't like it. No, I'm thinking his computer probably lost power or something. Let's see here. Let's message old Nicky Boy and see what's going on. We'll give him just a minute. If he doesn't come back, I guess I'll finish the show all by myself. Hope everything's okay. Let's see. He says, Antonio says that Miami weather. Yeah, it's so good down there that it broke his internet connection. James said he did not like it. I'm with you. I mean, overall, I didn't really care for the movie. Oh, Nick's back. But I appreciated the swing. Everything all right?
I don't know. Are we live right now?
Yeah.
My internet cut out just out of the blue. Oh. Yes, Antonio, it is the Miami weather down here. The Miami weather fucks the internet up. No, I was talking and I thought maybe like the system crashed because Jason Blum and David Gordon Green were watching. They're like, "Fuck these people," and they cut YouTube out. So I thought maybe our system went down, and I realized no, my internet little icon is maybe the system rebooted it. Maybe they updated it. So no, I'm here. I was just like, son of a bitch. I was in the middle of talking about this shitty ass movie.
No, I was. No. I looked over and you were like, and I was like,
that was right before Jason went, or Michael Myers stabbed me in the head.
Because I actually asked you a question. I think I said something along the lines of like we were in between. I was like, so how long do you think it'll be until we get another one? I looked over and you were like. It's like, Nick, you all right?
No, I have Xfinity down here, and it's always been the worst. It's been the worst service I've ever had in my entire life.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Not much left on the show, ladies and gents. I guess we'll jump right back into it. Slow day. Let's see. We were going to talk about, I'm going to skip over it. We're just going to do one last story because I know we're already 25 minutes past our regular time. Mm-hmm. We were going to talk another Netflix story real quick about how just informational. Netflix, hey, they got Netflix with ads now. But if you get it, there's some content you won't be able to get, but they're saying that they don't think that that'll last forever. So just a FYI. That starts sometime in November, I think. So if you think paying $9.99 for Netflix is too much, you can pay $6.99 sometime in November and get ads.
Can I have a PSA, people? Sure. If you're paying $9.99 for non-ads or whatever it is too much, just go like with YouTube and quit doing YouTube after having ads. It sucks. Having ads on like I think Paramount Plus or Peacock is the worst because you're watching a movie or watching an episode of TV and it's like, oh, here's 45 hours of commercials. Yeah, just pay the $10.
And Hulu, have you noticed that Hulu does it even if you pay? Mm-hmm. Like I pay for Hulu, or somebody does. I don't know. I have a Hulu paid account. I think it's me.
Yeah.
But you still get fucking ads. How does that work?
I think it's on. Yeah, I think it's on some things, but like I think, but a lot of things don't. But yeah, if you pay $15 a month, and you get ads. It's stupid.
Yeah, it's at the beginning. It's not like in the middle. I don't think. Like I want to say that I don't know about TV shows, but like movies, it'll let you watch movies all the way through. But like at the beginning of the movie, you'll still get ads, and if you stop it and come back to it, you got to watch an ad to what I'm like. I fucking pay for this. I pay so I don't have to watch the fucking ads. But well, I mean that's not the only reason. But and there is no non-paid version of Hulu anymore. I don't think so.
Oh no.
I don't know. It's kind of a rip. But anyway, moving on. Let's move on to our last story of the day. Harrison Ford. He's in the news because Mr. Ford is joining, finally, I guess some people would say, I don't know, finally, but he's joining the MCU. We're getting Harrison Ford in the MCU, and that would be Harrison Ford has been tapped by Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige to take over the role of Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, which was played by William Hurt before the death of the actor earlier this year. Ford will be cast as Ross for multiple films, with his debut reportedly set to come in the upcoming Captain America New World Order, before joining another ensemble cast. He will also appear in the team-up movie Thunderbolts, obviously. The film is designed to be the final to the MCU's Phase 5. So that's really all the info we got on it. He's taken over William Hurt's role, which he played in Incredible Hulk, one of the Iron Men, and I think one of the Captain America movies.
Yeah, something like that.
So, yeah. But he's taken that over, and he is, I guess, the leader of the Thunderbolts.
Mm-hmm.
I'll assume, since his name is Thunderbolt. But so yeah, Harrison Ford, he's coming on in. I mean, I can see it. I can see him taking over that role. It's not a stretch. I don't think joining the MCU has the same allure that it did years ago. But Harrison Ford seems like the type now that he's just like, whatever. What role's coming? Right. Sure, I'll do that. Why not? I don't care. Do you think this is good for the MCU or good for Harrison Ford? Are you excited about this, Nick?
I mean, I guess Christopher Plummer is not alive anymore, so he's not available, and Sam Elliott's making too many nonsensical quotes, so he's not available anymore. So sure, bring in the guy who can't land planes and hits his head violently on doors and shit. So
yeah. I mean, he is already he's connected to Disney already through like Indiana Jones and
Star Wars.
Yeah, and Star Wars. So it's not a stretch.
I mean, yeah, whatever. It's, he's like 80 years old though, so it is a little weird. But they brought Robert Redford in to do a role. He's like 90, I think, at this point. So fuck it, whatever. It's cool. Harrison Ford's an asshole. He's a good guy. He's an asshole. I think he could be a lot of fun. It's just hope he can understand what he's saying, because he's very soft spoken as an individual. So he needs to scream, and hopefully he screams.
Well, yeah, he's playing a very like stern individual, like a general.
Yeah, which is what William Hurt was really good at doing. So that's why I loved him as that role. But you can't bring back a dead guy. So I mean, you could do like an AI
deep fake.
Yeah,
I wouldn't suggest it, but you could.
No. Yeah.
But well, so yeah, there you go. I mean, not a big story, nothing much going on there.
No.
Probably more of a
he's just another casualty for the MCU. So.
He's another casualty for the MCU.
Yeah, he's gonna.
We lost another one to the MCU today, guys. Exactly. Not William Hurt. We lost Harrison Ford because he joined the MCU. It is kind of there was a time that joining the MCU was like, oh, it's a big deal. When are you going to be in a Marvel movie? Now it's kind of like, it is kind of starting to change to, I'm starting to think that maybe going to the Marvel universe is not a good idea.
Yeah, right.
Ask Mahershala Ali how he feels about it. It's working out great for him right now. But, well, yeah. I mean, I guess people are excited about this. Good on them. Harrison Ford, he's in the MCU as the Thunderbolt Ross. You excited, everybody? Let us know in the comments below. Woo! All right.
Internet problems, Halloween, and a little bit of She-Hulk. Good times.
All right, so that's the end of the show, ladies and gents. That's all we got. Like I said, not a lot of news this week. Just mostly those two properties, hot and spicy properties we were going to talk about. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Thanks for. I know there's not a lot of interaction today. I know we had Antonio, we had James. Do we have anybody else that was talking? I mean, I've seen some people come and go as the show is going on. James Gibbs or whatever. He was here earlier as well. Anybody else who was here that didn't comment, I appreciate you watching. Check out smaller, more digestible clips of the show throughout the next few days over the weekend if you missed any of it. And I'll have these reviews up as well, cut down a little bit, make them a little bit more digestible. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what I got coming next week. I know Black Adam, I'm seeing that later at the end of next week, so I will have a review of that. Chances are that review will probably come out on Friday's show. Nothing else. Shudder sent me a movie. I don't know if I'll watch that or not. I know. Yeah, my channel, kind of boring. I'm working on a different kind of video. 2 different kind of videos, very different kind of videos. That's all I'm going to say. I know that's really giving you guys a lot there, but yeah, more stuff coming from my channel, more stuff than just this show. I do plan on doing stuff other than just this show. But how about you, Nick? What's going on over at the Pleasure Emporium? What can people expect over there?
Of course, Fifth Dimension is coming up. We're as long as nothing goes wrong, we're going to record a cool thing because I'm gonna go on hiatus a little bit for a month or 2 coming up here, which kind of sucks, but I don't have a choice. So look out for that. But I'm also I have a couple things coming up, like Black Adam. I'll have my review up on the 18th for that, and there's some other stuff. There's other stuff I can't think of at this moment, but yeah, look out for there's stuff coming up. It's just not a huge amount of stuff, unfortunately. So. Yeah, I mean, yeah, just look for Movie Emporium, or apparently the Twitter handle for YouTube now at Movie Emporium. So,
yeah, I heard you talking about something like that. So yeah, Twitter handles are invading YouTube now. Yay! But anyway, hey, thanks everybody for hanging out with us. We will be back on Tuesday at 2:00 p.m. Central Time, whatever the time that is where you live, with more news. Whatever news develops between right now and Tuesday afternoon, we'll be talking about there, and maybe some movies to talk about. We will. I do have a handful of movies from one of my patrons over on Patreon. He wanted me to talk about, and a message from him as well. We'll talk about probably next show. So I do plan on getting somebody on. I want to actually get somebody on to talk with us about a movie or 2 different movies. Okay. So we will be having that at some time in the next couple of shows. We're going to have some reviews of some. Neither of the movies is old, but they're not brand new movies. But one of them, for sure, I've seen part of it. Is interesting. I'll say that much. But hey, anyway, I appreciate you guys hanging out with us today, and hope to see you guys all Tuesday. And we'll see you then. Bye.